All right, people, today how are we doing? All right, today I'm going to talk about HTML tag. Yet it seems so simple, so simple, but HTML tag is one of the beginners tip to healthy programming. Every programmer, of course, starts from HTML. So today I'm going to be talking about all the HTML tags and why you need them in your work. HTML stands for hypertext markup language, for those of you that don't know. And if you don't really know about that, I suggest you check out my previous video before this one, where I explained the basic concept of web development, all the basic concepts you need to know about web development, starting from HTTP protocols, API calls, domains, servers, how the whole thing work. But in this particular video, we'll be focusing on HTML tags only HTML tags. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel so that I can bring you more content like this one. Also, check out our other videos on cybersecurity, graphics, and other things you might want to know. And feel free to drop a comment to tell us anything you want us to make a video on concerning technology, programming, and even hardware engineering. Alright, without any further ado, let's dive right into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the basic concepts in programming as a beginner. Here, we're going to talk about HTML. That's what we're dealing with today. So the first thing we want to do is to head over to our command prompt to open our terminal. Just type cmd on your computer. You should be able to open the terminal, or just press Windows R on your system and type cmd here, right here. Type cmd and press OK, and you'll be able to open this command prompt. So from this command prompt, I want to make sure I'm in my desktop. That is where I want to create a folder. And now, if you don't know how to use command prompt, make sure you check out my other video where I talk about everything about Windows command prompt, how to use the Windows terminal to create files, even in a little bit of hacking and all those stuff. My video, I'll link it in the description below, so you can just click on it and watch that very important video so you can be a better programmer. Even for Kali, if you're a Kali user, you are a Mac user or Windows operating system user, any one of you can always interact with this. So this is my desktop, and I'm going to make a folder. This folder, I'm going to call it HTML underscore tags. You can call it whatever you want to call it, and I suggest if you are new to programming that you follow along, because by typing the code you actually be able to understand better than just watching the tutorial like that. Alright, so I'll press enter on my keyboard, and now I've created that folder. How do I know this? Because now I can change the directory into that HTML tag I just created. If I do that and I made a mistake, so let's check what we did. So it's HTML, so we have cd HTML underscore tag, and now we are right inside this folder underscore HTML tag. So I'm going to clear this out. Control C L, sorry, CLD, or if you're on Kali or Mac, you can do Control L to clear the screen. Okay, so here what I want to do is simply I can create a new folder. So I can use the Windows command for creating folder. I can say touch index.html. This will create a folder for me. Okay, so I have a folder created in this file. To verify that, if I do dir and press enter, I'm going to see this folder, which is index.html right here, right? However, if I'm on Mac or Kali, just say touch index.html. Sorry, index. If I can type HTML, okay, if you press enter, it's going to tell me that touch is not a command here, but if you're on Kali, that should work very fine. Now that we've done that, we've created that folder. The next thing we want to do is to open VS Code. So to open VS Code, just say code. Dot means the current folder. This is the current folder. While dot means the previous folder. While slash means the root folder. So I'm going to just do dot, which is the current folder. So open VS Code on the current folder. That's just what I just said. If you're both on Mac, Kali, Linux, or Ubuntu, whichever operating system you're using, or even Chromebook, you should be able to do this, and that should work. So if I press enter, and it's launching my VS Code, and now I've launched my VS Code. Now I can close this off. So this is my entry file, HTML file, which I have here. It says echo is on, which doesn't matter, so I can just delete that. And then the very first thing we want to talk about is we want to deal with the basic concept the beginner basic level for a programmer. The basic structure of a website is simply this element. The first thing I want to talk about is doc type, which is the document type that describes the type of document you are running. In this case, a text document, and it's not just a normal text; it's a hypertext. So that's the name, the full meaning, hypertext markup language. HTML is just like the root structure of the element, the basic structure of an application. The basic structure of an application. That's what HTML is all about. So this HTML here is let me use my annotation tool. Oh, sorry, I'll go back. So my annotation tool, if I do Ctrl Shift F3, I'm using my annotation tool, so I'll be able to, let me open that. Okay, so this man, so this basic HTML. So this HTML is the root element. We have the header, which contains the meta element or meta containers. Then we'll have the title, which is title of the page, and then we'll have the body of the page, which is the main container of the whole website. So this is how we work on a website. Very, very simple. When you understand this basic concept, you'll be able to build dynamic websites. So let's dive into it. So if I go back to my VS Code now, the very instead of worrying about understanding the code, the whole code I'm writing, I could just simply do, okay, let's do the coding first. So I want to create the document type. This document type can be typed in different ways. Okay, you can type it like this. You can also type it all in capital letters. If you want to. Okay, the HTML stays in lowercase. You can do it like this. You can even type some in capital letter and some in small letter. You can do stuff like this. So this can be in capital, or this, you can do something like this if you want to, and it will still work very well. So either which way you want, you can do like this, or this way, or this way. Anyone is fine. You can even write everything in small letters if you so wish. This declares the document type. Now the next thing you want to do here is to open your HTML tag. So let's remove these two. Let's use one. The next thing you want to do is to open your HTML tag. This is referred to as tag. So this is an element, HTML element. This is an element. HTML element represents the root of an HTML document. We've already talked about that. Now, if we open an element, this is how we open an element. We'll write the same thing again. However, this time around we're adding the forward slash. This forward slash actually indicates to us that this is the closing HTML tag. So that is why any other tag you create, for example, let's say we're creating a tag of what can I say? Maybe let me say end, something like this. Let's assume there's a tag like this, so we can have the beginning of the tag and the end of the tag. So this is the opening of the tag, and this is the closing of the tag. However, some tag does not have closing tag. They don't have closing tag. They are just an open tag. We're going to talk about different types of tag as we progress. Now the next tag we need to work on is the head. So the head is actually the one that contains both the meta tag and the titles. So this head contains, this is where we have descriptions. So to do this comment, I just wrote a comment now. So the comment is just basically written as this. So this is where we write our comment. So this is how we write comment. What is a comment? A comment is simply a side note. Okay, this is where we can take notes in our application. Let's say I want to make a note, something I don't want to forget. I can say I need to create more apps. Okay, so this is a comment. Any developer that comes will know that this is a comment. I'm trying to remind myself of something. However, this code will not be compiled. Okay, this code will not be compiled. It's not part of the the programs. It's just a note that I'm taking, a comment, right? That's what it means. So to do this, I can easily press on my keyboard. I'll simply press Ctrl/ on my keyboard to be able to write these comments. So to indicate the comment that should be here, I'm talking about the head. Remember, this head is now referring to I can create the description of, if you can write description of a website. So this can be the description of a website. You can have all of them here. For example, we have the meta tag, the title, the links to different APIs, or maybe different documents to the website, can all be linked inside here, which we're going to see in a minute. Now the next level we have is the body. Now this is where we put the whole content of the website. The whole content of the website goes here. Now inside the body, we can subdivide it into three. We have the header, we have the main, and we can also have the aside, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and then we'll have the footer. So this is a basic structure of a website. This is the basic structure of most of the websites and applications you have online today. Okay, so furthermore, we're going to talk about the contents of this field, and if you have to, you don't really need to have this at the back of your mind every time. There's actually a shortcut you can use to generate most of these contents, such that you don't need to remember them. So in the next module, I'm going to show you the shortcuts you can use to do this. Now before we talk about the next module, we want to talk about the meta tags. Now the meta tags are simply used to talk about some of the important headers. Now a header is simply let me call it a notation, or we can say a header is simply a description that is accompanied by the data. So whenever you browse a website, the website has some series of data that comes with it as headers, which search engine like Google, Amazon, DuckDuck, Bing, and some of those things, Wikipedia, them, these are the ones that will, this is how they explain, this is how they understand the content of this website. For example, here, let me do this way. You can say name, and talk about let's look at the description of this website. So we can have description. So description can say this is my first website. Can do like this. However, you will notice two things. One, the text content we are writing is entering inside here, and we're not seeing most of the content. So for us to do this, we're going to wrap the content. The shortcut to do that is alternate Z on your keyboard, or you can just go to file, you're going to go to menu, go to, I think, view, and scroll all the way down. You'll see word wrap or alternate Z. Click on it, and it's going to wrap your work. Now you might want to hide this window. Since we're not using it, you can just click on it, drag and wipe, or you can just click here on the explorer to hide, or you can press Ctrl B on your keyboard to hide it, so you can have more room to interact with your code. So this is the meta tag. For description, it describes what the website is all about, and this is how search engine understands what your site is talking about. If you have ever heard of search SEO, which stands for search engine optimization. Yeah, SEO stands for search engine optimization. This is how you basically rank higher in search results. So if somebody search about your website, this is how people get to find you faster, in the cloud and on the web. Right. So moving forward, we can have other meta tag. The next one I want to talk about is let me talk about the compatibility. So this is the compatibility mode. This is what helps search engine to understand that your site should be compatible, HTTP equivalent, that's compatible to other browsers, or some browsers, most of the browsers like EA, Internet Explorer, which is now Edge. So version 7, it should be compatible with that, and so on. We'll have many other meta tags. Without any further ado, we'll have the meta tag of keyword. Keyword is what describes who, no, in one word, it describes, keywords in one word describes what your app is all about, right? So here we can say it's all about websites, it's all about design, it might be all about HTML, it might be all about coding. So if someone goes to Google or any search engine and types website, among the thousands of results that will come out, somehow your own will be part of the result that will be filtered out in the results that will come out. Now the next one is, there are so many of them, we'll just do a full number of them. This one is the content type. This is what describe to the browser, that is Chrome and other browsers like Safari, Opera Menu, we have Firefox, Mozilla Firefox, and UC browser, we have Brave browser, and many of them. This is how they understand that you are dealing with HTML. You see, so this is HTML. So you can have other character state. We have 16, we have other ones, but this is the standard, the standard for every web application. Now let's look at the one more. Let's look at one more. We have the viewport. Now the viewport is simply, this is the key name. This attribute is attribute. This name is attribute. I'm going to talk about attribute in a minute. So this is the viewport. The viewport simply describes the view of your system, how the width of your system is described. For example, in this context, we're looking at the width of your device. So we're saying here, let the width of your device be equals to, let the width of your application be equals to the device width that is being viewed. Let the initial scale is just the size, right? So let it be 1:0. This means 1:1, which means let the size be equals to the initial scale of 1. However, if you do 2 here, it means let the size will be 2 times the size of your website will be 2 times the size of the screen, that kind of a thing. I think you get the point. So that is what is happening here. Now I want to type on the next line. What I could do, I could come over here, put my cursor here. Oh no, come over here, put my cursor just at the end here, and press enter to type on the next line. However, if I know this shortcut, wherever my cursor is on the previous line, I could just hold my control key or command key and press enter, and I'll be on the control key. Even on Mac is also control key. Press on it is going to give you the next line. Now the next line I want to talk about is let's talk about okay, viewport. I've talked about viewport. I think we've mentioned and literally the most important ones. So but then let me look at compatibility mode. Okay, I think I've done that. Yeah, we've done that, so I'm going to remove that. So then let me do one more meta tag, the one that deals with the person that designed the website. Let's say name. For the name, we'll have the author of the website, then we'll have the content. The content, let's close this, the meta tag. So the content can be Cybergate. Let's write that well, Cybergates. Okay, so these are the people. This is the person that designed the website. The author of the website is of course Cybergate Network. So this is how we can have our content type, the meta tags of a particular website. One of the next thing that is located at the head section of the website is the title of the website. The title of a website is simply like the caption the website will bear at the tab. When you're viewing the tab, I'm going to show you what I mean in a minute. So here we can say HTML advanced, or let's just say HTML tags, right? HTML tags. We can leave it like this, or we can put a byte character and say beginner to advanced. Okay, so we can save this. Right now there's nothing on our website, and to view it can be very simple. We can actually navigate to where the site is, pressing Windows. If you press Windows E on your keyboard, go to desktop and go to HTML tags. If I can find that, just press H. I can find the HTML tag. So we have HTML tags. So these HTML tags, if you see now, you see that this is open with this. If I click on it, this is having age. So if I click on it right now, it's going to open age for us. It's actually opened. Now we're not seeing anything because we have not typed anything on the website. However, if you look very closely, let me bring it out. If you look very closely, you see that up here we have HTML tag beginner to advanced level. So here we'll have the tag at the very top tab of this. I'm going to show you how to change this icon to another one, but in a minute we're going to do that in a minute. So this is what we'll have there, right? So as we progress, we might not want to be using this way to view our work. Okay, we might not want to be using this way to view our work. We might want to use a better way to view our work. So let's look at the body that contains some content. Let's look at that in a minute. So for the body, in the header section, we have about 6 headers. These 6 headers can be h1. We have h1, so which one we can just say welcome to my first website. You can do something like this and just save. By the time we save, and if I refresh this page now, you see I have welcome to my website. So by just refreshing, I'll be able to enter into the next view the next line of code that I've just written, right? So the next thing I want to talk about is this heading. I want to talk about the heading section of our website. So we'll have h1 to h6, which are the different headings we can have in our website. Okay, so that's what we can have. Let's look at that in a minute before I talk about the other ones. So coming back to our code, we have h1, which we have already written. So this is the highest in size. This is the highest in size. If I go down, we can have h2, which is second highest. So I'm going to call this heading 2. So I'll call it heading 2. Yes. So we can have heading 3. We'll just run all of them. Heading 3. This is heading 4. So we'll have h5 for heading 5. I'll have h6 for heading 6. Alright, so I'll save, go back to our preview. Notice that once I refresh, we'll have those headings. So this is heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, heading 6. If you check very well, you see that they differ in size. They differ in size. The h1 is the biggest. Okay, h1 is the biggest, followed by h2. This is h2. This is h1. This is h2. This is h3. This is h4. I don't know why my annotation 2 is not working really fine, but it's okay. So and so on. I think you get the point. That's exactly what we are saying. That's exactly what we are saying. Now let's go back to our code. The next thing we want to talk about is paragraph. I want to talk about paragraphs, some text. So if I want to write some text, I'll go to the main content for now, and I'm going to write p. So p is my paragraph. If I press enter now, notice how I do this. I'm not so much disturbed with writing p, then I'm closing it. I mean, that's stressful. So all I need to do in my work is just press p on my keyboard. Once you're using VS Code, if you don't know how to install VS Code, check out our previous tutorial. You see how we can set up VS Code. Very easy. So if I press p here, press enter here, I'm going to install p here. So I can write this is a paragraph. I mean, we can have more paragraphs and so on. However, here there's a demo text we can use to write our paragraphs. So if I do lorem and just press enter, it's going to give me some bunch of characters that I can use. However, this is also customizable. If you don't want that much document, you can just do lorem. So if I do lorem, let's say 10, it's going to give me 10 demo words. So if I press enter, I'll just have 10. So I'm having all these bunch of characters. Of course, you can also add more if you want to. So if I do lorem, let's say 1000, press enter, it's going to give me 1000 text. See what we'll have. Now I don't want to use 1000 text, so I can do Ctrl Z on my keyboard, or Command Z if you are on Mac, and it will return you back to original point. Now the next two things we need to talk about is the line break. We'll have the normal line break and we'll have the horizontal rule. So the line break is actually B. If you don't want two things to be joined together, you can use line break to break them apart. So the first one is BR, which is line break, which is the normal space between two elements, and then we can have the horizontal rule, which is a horizontal line that breaks through the page. So if I save now and go back to our page, this horizontal line, it's all the way down. So you can use that HR to do this. Let's check what we have next. Next, we have strong EMBI, that is formatting of text. Let's look at that. So look at formatting of text. In HTML, we can format our text to look anyhow we want it to look. For example, I'm going to use h1. Okay, let me not use h1. Let me use let's use a paragraph, since we're already using paragraph. So you should know that you can nest two or more elements together. By so doing, we can do paragraph, and then if I say this text is bold. Now of course, if I save, the text is not going to be bold. Make sure we refresh. Now the text is not bold yet, so for it to be bold, I need to wrap this with either wrapping this. So what I normally do is to remove this and type strong and then write my bold here. Or if you don't want to use strong, so let me save, go back to HTML. If I refresh now, you see this text is automatically very bold. So if I zoom in here, see now that this text is very bold. Okay, so this text becomes very bold because I use strong to do that. However, if I don't want to use strong, I can use B. Now I'm going to copy and paste, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V on my keyboard. I can remove this strong, Ctrl+D to duplicate, so I can type these two strong as the against side, which is B. I can type two of them at the same time, and then I have B. So B is also for bold. So if I save, go back to the Chrome, let's go back to Edge. You see that if I refresh, I will now have two tests. This is bold and this is also bold, whereas I'm using strong to bold this one, and I'm using just B to bold this one. So you can use either strong or B to bold this element. The same thing as it were. So I'll put a BR here for line break. So I'll put another paragraph here. I'll say this text is in Italy. And then this Italy, now I'm going to cut this text. You can use MB. And if I paste this, it will be like that. If you don't want to use MB, you can use I. So if you check these two tests out, Ctrl+D on my keyboard and put I here. Once I save and go back to this, make sure we refresh, you see that we have this text in Italy and this is also in Italy. So you can use either you're using EM or you're using I. Either one would work. So let's do another BR here. Let's see what we have. So I've done B, EM, and I, formatting of text. So the next one we have is superscript, subscript, code, and pre. So let's look at those two. So the first thing we want to look at is superscript. Let's say you want to write s raised to power 2 plus 2s plus 4 or something, you know, stuff like that. Okay, so we can do something like that. As we go on, I'm going to show you HTML entities where you can even write it even more better. So I can do something, but I just write one now for emphasis sake. So I'm going to say paragraph. So again, paragraph. So from this paragraph, we can simply say s. Now I want to say raised to power 2. I'm going to say soup. I'm going to say 2. So what this is going to do is that it's going to mark s here. Let me zoom in a little bit. So it's going to mark s here. So this is our s, and then this should be raised to power 2. This is super, which means raised to power 2. Now if we save and go back here, make sure we go back to our browser, refresh, go all the way down. You see that now we have s raised to power 2. Now what if you want to do s raised to power 2 divided by 2s and stuff like that, you know, write a lot of things. So if I want to say divided by, I can simply use our HTML entities, which I'm going to talk about further in the course. So I can say using the hexadecimal value, which is number 24/7. Make sure we'll close that, and I'm going to show you that this in subsequent video, subsequent tutorial. So plus 2s. Now if I save, go back to our browser, make sure we refresh that. You see, now I have s raised to power 2 divided by 2s. Now this becomes a mathematical expression, right? So we can use this entity, which I'm going to talk about in one of the tutorials, in one of these lessons. So stay put and make sure you're part of the tutorial. Now let's go back to the code again. Now we want to do one more thing. What if we want to do H2O, that is the formula for water? We can do that too. So if I create my own paragraph, I can say H, and then from H I can do sub. So sub means subscript, while super means superscript. So subscript 2, of course I'm just using 2, you can use any value of your choice. So H2O, that's the formula for water. So once I do this and save, now notice that I'm just saving and saving and then refreshing at the same time, which we're going to be stopping in a minute because it's tiring. So if I go there, you see I have H2O, which is formula for water. Now instead of saving and refreshing every point in time, I'm going to use a better way to do it in a minute. So but before we get to that place, the next one we'll have is code. So I'm going to do code. I'm going to produce a special formatting for HTML. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say code and say here is my code, and then here I can use spray. I can say please note and share. Okay, so we can do that, it's fine. So save, come over here, make sure we refresh. If we scroll all the way down, you can see here is my code, please note and share. Now you notice that there is no much difference between this and the normal code we've been writing. However, they have some kind of effect. So let me know in the comment section if you understand the difference and what happened different between these. So the next thing we want to talk about is live server. So we need to have live server installed such that if I want to run my code, I don't need to start running it this way anymore. So to do this, you're going to go to your extension. So mine is hidden, but if I can just zoom out a little bit, yeah, so this is my extension. See extension, or you can press Ctrl Shift X. Then if I click on extension, it's going to open up and I'm going to see all my extensions. So all you need to do is to click on your extensions. When you open, search for live server, make sure you're connected online, then you can search for live server and you'll be able to see your live server. I already have it installed. So if I go all the way down here, so this is my live server. Oh, this one is 5 server, sorry. So this is live server. This one you want to install by the Qt. So you want to install this particular one. That's the one you need to use. That's the last server we're using. So with this, you can easily run our application without lifting a finger. There are two various different ways you can run it. One, you can right click, then scroll all the way down and click open with live server alternate O. There's alternate L and alternate O. You can open with live server, or you can just come over here and click on go live and to just open with live server. Either way is fine. Anyone that works for you is fine. So I'm going to click here and it's going to open my default browser. So our app will be running from a default browser this time around on ports. So let me bring that out. So this is our application running on this browser, and because Chrome is my default browser, that's why it's running on Chrome. Now you can notice the difference between the code. You see, they're not looking exactly the same way with this one, they are looking differently. If you write them together with other code, you see that it's going to be different. Here we go. Next, we want to talk about links, media, and lists. How to deal with the different types of lists we have in HTML. Alright, so let's do that. So I put a comment here. We're talking about lists, anchor tag. Okay, so in this module, we're going to talk about hyperlinks, navigation, image, audio, media elements, with different types of lists. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the different types of lists. We have majorly the unordered list, ordered list, and we have the descriptive list. Let's start with ordered list. Ordered list can be denoted as OL. So what I do on my computer is that I just type OL and the opening tag will open and the close tag will also open too. So the list item, which is LI, I can have a list item here. For example, here I can have Apple. I hold down Control key and press enter, and to take me to the next line, and I can do LI, which is the next second list item, and here I can have pin Apple. Do the same thing, Control key plus key if you're on Windows. If you're Mac, the same thing, Linux, the same thing. Then let's have orange here, and then the same thing. And maybe let's have one more. Can still have purple. Okay, so these are the simple lists that we can have. So what we can do is recall that last time we looked at our live server, so we can use live server, that was live share, sorry. So click on live server, and it's going to serve this project for us on port 5500. And yes, this is our list. I'll zoom so I can see very well. So this is our list. We'll have this list with we'll have this list numbered here. So number 1 is Apple, number 2 is this. Recall that when we are doing this, we never added the numbers. We never did add numbers. It's automatically adding the numbers for us. So but then what if we don't want to use numerical values here, want to use some other thing, maybe Roman figures, or want to use alphabets? How can we do that? To do that, we're going to add an attribute here. So the attribute is the type attribute. So this type attribute allows us to enter any of the following attributes to use it as our notation. So for example, what if you type this and you didn't see this stuff? If you're using VS Code, just hold down Control key and make sure your cursor is blinking inside the quote, then hold down Control key and press space, and it's going to bring out these stuff for you. So I can want to use Roman figure here, and then when I save, go back to my code, see that now I have Roman figure I, and IV, and so on, of course. So you can decide to use any one of your choice. You can decide to use alphabets. So if I use A, small letter or capital letter A, anyone is fine. When I save and go back to my work, you see that now I have this. So this is for ordered list. Let's consider unordered list. So I'll do my horizontal line break, that's HR, and then here I can do, let me zoom in a little bit more. Okay, so here I can do my, let me give space here so it can be plain. So here I can do my ordered list. So ordered list is UL, ordered list is UL. Press enter, and it will give me the opening and the closing tag. So if I press LI, which is the list item for that, and then what I can do is simply to say, okay, let's say maybe you have, okay, let's do maybe married. Let's say we look at marital status. Have married, we have single, we have the same thing LI. Let's have separated. Control key, enter, LI. Let's have divorced. and so on. So this is an ordered list, unordered list. So unordered list. So if you save, you see the difference between ordered and unordered. So if I scroll up a little bit, this is a horizontal line break, and then this is unordered list. See the way it came with these dots here? That's how we have an unordered list. However, the same way, if you don't want to use these dots here, you can use some other thing, like maybe say square or some other thing, right? So if I come over here, I can just do type. This time around, you have to type it complete because it's not going to help you to complete it. If I press Ctrl space here, I'm not going to see anything because it doesn't bring out this. It doesn't bring it out for us. So what I can do here is I'll just type in square, and then when I save and go back to our work, notice that this is now a square. It's no longer those parentheses. All right. So that's what we can do there, and then we can do some other thing like you can also do I think we can do circle. Can do circle here. So if I save, so that we're going to have circle like this here, something like small circle like this. So you can do this in your work depending on what you want to achieve, and of course you can use some other thing like images. You can use katakana and a few other things. We're going to discuss that much later when we enter into CSS. Now I want to look at descriptive list. Do you think you can do this one? If you can do it, go ahead and pause the video and try doing a descriptive list and see if you can get it. Otherwise, let's continue from where we stopped. So for descriptive list, we have descriptive list DL. Inside it, we have DD. Let's say for example I have mail, and under it we have DT, and then we have this is a male gender. Okay, let's just say this is man. Okay, let's just put man here. This is a male danger, so gender. So we can save this, and if we go over here, oh I think I made a mistake there. So this should have been here. I'm going to cut this, hold down alternate key and move it up, and then this should be man here, and then this is where I should have the description. So this is the data. Okay, this is the title of the list, and then this is the description of the list. Sorry about that mistake. So if I save and go back now, see that we'll have man. This is a male gender. I don't know why I'm saying danger, but it's all good. So if I copy this down and then paste it here, so I can do woman. So this is what we have here. So have man, this is a male gender, and have woman, this is a female gender. So here you notice that whenever we create a list, we'll explain what the list is all about. So you have the title of the list, you can explain what the list is all about. So this is how we understand that we have three major types of lists. And finally, the last concept we have is the concept called the nesting of list. You can have a list inside another list and inside another list. So what we can have is, say, let's have OL. Inside the OL we can have list item. Inside the list item we can have UL. Okay, so here I can have a marital status. Your status. LI. So now I'm going to just pick what we have here already and put inside here. Control C to copy, or Command C. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste it here. Control V or Command V. So I just paste this. Then I'm going to have another list. So notice that this is the first list. This is the first list of these. So if I hide this stuff, notice that this list, okay, other list, and this is the first list. Inside this list now we have another list inside. Then let me do one more list. I have one more list here. So here, let me talk about, let's say here now I'll look at fruits, and then I'll come over here and say in fact you can also have OL here if you want to, so but I'll use UL. Then what I can do here is just say LI. You know what, let me copy the fruits we have here too, and I'll just pick this one, Control C or Command C, come over here, and then Control C or Command V. So let's indent this, highlight it and press Tab on my keyboard so that our code will look proper. So if I hide this stuff now, you see what I have? I have an other list. One contains marital status, the other one contains fruits. So let's save it and run it and see what it will look like. So if I go all the way down, see, first one I have marital status and I have all of these. Second one I have this and I have all of these. So this is very simple list that you can do in your very before. Now here is an assignment for you. The assignment is very simple. Recall exam question, how it looks like. So create a program for the exam question. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, here's an assignment for you. From what we learned so far, check if you can create something like this. So using HTML, can you create this form to look exactly like this? Then do it and share your screenshot in the description below. All right, so this is the assignment we are supposed to do. So right now I believe you must have tried it out, and you would have seen that how easy or difficult it has proven to be. So here in this module we're going to be doing solving this particular assignment with a solution. The first thing I want you to notice is that this particular div is enter. Let me use my annotation tool. So okay, so this particular div, this is centered. Okay, it is centered, so we need to center it, and it's bold. Look at it, the words are bold. Then after that we have this one. So this is starting from 10, and I mean we can start from 1 if you want to. We can have 1 2 3 4 5 and so on, but then we'll have the question, and then we'll have the solution here. That's the answers, the options A. We'll have options B, C, and so on. So we're going to see how we can use nesting of lists to do this particular thing and be able to achieve the solution. All right, so that is what we're going to be looking at. So here is the solution. We'll have this test, this very test here. So I'll just copy the test. So I don't have to start typing it all over. So come over here, and the first thing we want to do is to have a center div. So have a center div. In this center div, inside it we want to have we can actually use maybe H3 or H2. Okay, or if you don't want to use that, let's do some other way. We can have a paragraph. Inside the paragraph, okay, look at what I'll do. I'll have a strong text. strong is for bold, to make it bold. So inside the strong text, I'll have the first paragraph. So the first paragraph is going to contain, I'll do alternate Z to wrap. So it's going to contain some of the words. So if you look at this place, you see that the words you have a one word or group. So I want it to break from here and continue from here, right? So to do that, we'll have to come over here, and I'm going to add in between here, I'm going to add a line break. So line break is actually BR. So see what I did? So make sure I center the div, close the center, open strong text here, then open a paragraph, write the whole of the text, and then actually break it between here. I mean, there are so many other ways you can do this, right? So but we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. So we're going to save and then go live. So you see, we have our solution right here. So let me zoom in so I can see it properly. So we have this centered and is here, which is cool. So let's proceed from there. Now this whole sentence, this whole work, we want to put it in a section so that we know that this section is dealing with our work. So I'm going to do Ctrl X to cut, and I'm going to create a section, and inside the section I'm going to paste that which we just cut right now. Okay, so still inside the section, we're going to be creating the first question there. So from the first question, we have that number 10 is this, and it has all of these. So we're going to be using ordered list throughout. I mean, we can use unordered list if we want to, but I think ordered list will be better. So we use ordered list, and it's going to be this. So we're going to have this, and then have order nested list inside it. So let's do that. So inside the first question, so let's pick the first question. So this is the main list. They'll have this item 1. So the first type of this list is numbers. So in that one, we have this, something like this. So I'm going to paste this here. So let's remove this 10, and then we'll have this list here. And then what we need to do is to have the options that follow them. So the options are option A. So we'll have option A here. So this is option A, this is option B, and C, and so on. So that's what we're going to work on. So let's do that. So we have OL, another list inside this particular list, inside this particular LI. So we have that. So the first option, so this one, the type will be that of A, this one. So the first option there is I'll just paste this, then I'll arrange it. So this will be the first option. So we don't need this A to start with. So we're going to do this, then hold on Control key, and let me tidy this up a little bit. So I'll just duplicate this into 5. So Control C, Control V into 5. So I'm going to remove this. For this one, I'm going to remove everything here, and for this I'm going to remove everything here. So I'm going to remove everything here for this one, and likewise here. I think it makes sense, right? It makes sense. So here I'm going to remove this, and finally here I'm going to remove all of these. And now we can save. If I go back to the code, oh, not here, to the output, to our results. So you see that now we've saved. If I scroll all the way up, you see we have this, the first question, this is the first option. Now I have the question. So this question 1, Alex was tired as they were, all of these. Okay, so let's do the second one, then I'm going to leave the rest for you to do. So for the second one, let's go back to our code. The second one, remember, this is still the first one. This is the first one. Okay, so we can actually copy this and duplicate, but I'm not going to copy. So I'm going to come over here and let me just put a comment question 2 here. Okay, so under this, hold on control key and press enter. Under this, I'm going to create the next list. So the next list is going to give us the next question. Let's get that. So this will be the second question. So under that, we have OL. Inside OL, we'll now have the LIs, which are the options. Recall that this one, the type, has to be these small letters. If not, it's not going to work. So let's get that, the questions. The same thing, I'm going to duplicate this. So I can remove all of these if I want to. So we can delete all of these. We keep going until we're done with all the options. We're done. So let's preview that. So we have the second option here. I think by now this makes sense. Let's do one more to make sure you have gotten the whole of it. So let's go there. So I'm going to come over here. See, this is the question. So this is the next question. I know you're wondering, this is 10, 11, and the other one is 1, 2, 3, because we didn't start from the first question, right? This is just an example, right? But of course, if we wanted to start from 10, we can actually do that. Let me know in the comment section, and let me know in the comment section how you think we can actually do this. It's actually very possible we can do this. I mean, we might actually use JavaScript, but we haven't gotten to that yet. But let me see if we can do that. Now, we can use JavaScript to do this, but I think we can actually try using HTML to do it. So let's try using HTML and see what happens. So in HTML, I'm thinking we can have a start attribute. So I'm going to say start, and surprisingly, that's actually correct. See, it says that this integer attribute specifies the start value for numbering the individual list item. Although the ordering type of list element might be in Roman numerals, such as all of that and all of that. To start numbers, elements start from letter C. Okay, use this. Okay, so if it's letters C, then use 3 and all that. So we're going to actually use this value. So I'm going to tell it to start from 10 and count. And once I do this and save, hopefully if we come over to our output, we'll now have that the numbers should start from 10. Yeah, so we have 10. You see, so we're having 10. So this is number 10, and we'll have all of these. So we've solved the problem that was given to us. So this is the assignment. I wanted to complete the remaining ones, and let me know if you have any difficulty in doing that. You can tell us, and then we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Alright, so now the lesson, we've talked about lists. And the 3 different types of lists you can have. And now I want to talk about the media. I want to talk about I'll talk about these 2 last. So I want to talk about the image tag, the audio, the video tag, all the media elements. I want to talk about them in the next section, right? So let's do that very quickly. Alright, so in this section we're going to talk about the media. In this media, I'm going to talk about how to add images to our work. How can add images to our work? How can add some videos? Let's do videos, and then let's do some documents, right? So let's start with audio first, and then how can do some documents. All right, so let's start with images. So to deal with images, we'll have we have the picture tag, which is a semantic tag what it does is just to inform us that this has to be a picture, but it doesn't really have to be that. So we have a new one too, which I think they call it figure. You can do this too if you want to, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, but I just leave it here for you to see. But we'll have picture, and we can do so. And the picture is not really doing anything. It's a semantic tag. Like if I hover on it, you see, it says that the picture element is a container. You understand, which provides multiple sources to each content image element to allow authors to declaratively control or give hints to the user agent about which image source to use, and all of that. So it doesn't really do anything. It represents its children. It doesn't really do anything majorly. Okay, and I think it has been available since 2016 or so. Okay, so but then the most important one is the image tag. So this image tag is the one we want to be interested in. So the image tag has two major attributes here. We have the SRC, which is a source attribute. Okay, the source attribute gives us the URL to the image. URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. That is where the image will be gotten from. And then we have the alternative attribute. So what this one specifies is whenever the image is not showing, or for some reason is being omitted, or some browser does not support the image, it will probably detect that and then use whatever alternative you put there. It's going to use it to replace the image, and it's been around since I think 2015 or so. Okay, so let's look at the image. So before you can add image to your site, you need to add it to your work itself. So to do that, we'll go back to our file explorer. In our file explorer, we don't have any image here, and then the concept is to create an image folder and then add the image and add other media so that you can easily add it from here. Because if you add it from your system, from your laptop or whatever gadget you're using, it's not going to be available in this folder we're working in. So we need to put it in this folder we're working in with, so that it will be easy for us to deploy the image whenever we are done, right? So that's what we want to do. So we'll click on add folder, and then I want to add the images folder. I can call it images folder, and I want to add another folder. Now notice that this folder is selected. If I try to create another folder, it's going to create this folder inside this already created folder. So to prevent this, make sure you click outside of this folder, or select this folder, and then see this blue line. You see this blue border around here. This blue border is what you want to see, so that this blue border tells you that you're on the root folder, which is the HTML tags, right? Now we click on new folder, and now this folder will be created in our root directory. That's what we want to see, right? So I'm going to put videos here. Here I'm going to put the video we'll add. Again, you see that something is happening here. If you mistakenly click here, it's going to create the folder inside this. So make sure you click outside and then click on the folder again, and then want to add the document folder. Let's call it docs, and then finally want to add one last folder. Let's call it the music folder or the audio folder. Let's call it audio. Okay, that is what we have. So we have our folders now. The next thing is to populate these folders. Now most times you might think you can right click and do some things, open file and all that. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. So what we want to do is to go back to our working directory, the folder directory that we're working on. So I'm going to search the folder. So it's actually called HTML. We call it HTML folder. So I will just click on my file, and then I'm going to go to desktop, and on my desktop I will find the folder. This is my folder. Now if you open this folder right now, notice that we'll now have audio, document, image, and video folders here, right? That's what we have here. Okay, but then let's now add these videos here. So to do that, I'll go. Video will actually play from VS Code. You can play it from VS Code, yes. So it's actually loading up, and then it's actually play from VS Code. Yeah, this is the video. So if I play it now, the video is actually going to play. Yeah, so that is it. And then we have the images. You can do that too. So have the screenshots. Okay, so you can have all of the screenshots. So also, if you haven't watched this video, go and watch this video. It's the very basic introduction to web development in 2025. You should also check out that video. I will put the description put the link in the description. I'll put the link in the description. So have all of these too for the lessons and all that, and I also have some of this audio which can also play. Anyways, so let's go back to our code and do some justice to this. So to add this image right now, so we need to select the source of the image. Now there's something I need to point out very quickly. So in this lesson, whenever we make reference to dots, that's a period, we're making reference to the current directory, and then whenever we make a reference to dot, we're making reference to the previous directory. Whenever we make reference to slash, we're making reference to the root directory. Okay, so just have this at the back of your mind, because I'm going to use it to undo something right now, and you'll be seeing this a lot in this. You'll be using it a lot in your journey as a programmer. right? So that's what we have. So let's keep it at the back of our mind while we proceed. So from the image tag, the very easiest way to add this image, especially if you're working from the concept of VS Code, just do dot slash. So dot is the current folder, slash is the root of the current folder. So we want to select the image folder, click on the image folder, and then all our images will be available. We'll click on the one we want. So alternatively, in case the image is not show, we'll just call it our BG image. I don't know if that makes sense. So let's save, go back to our work, and then if we scroll all the way to the top, you now see that we have an image in our web development. So this is the image we're talking about. This image, very easy, very easy. Now if the image is too large and we want to reduce the size, we can come over here and put some attributes. So you can put it here or anywhere in between. Okay, so let's put the width attribute. So let me break this attribute into different lines so to make sense. Okay, so here I want to talk about the width. So the width of the image, you can say the width is you can use any width. I can use 50% of the page, so 50% of your view of your screen. So no matter the screen you're using, 50% of it will be used for this image. And the height I can use maybe let's say 400 pixels, depending on what you're working on. It just depends. So 400 pixels. So I can save, and at the end of the day, the image will be looking much better. So let's see. So the image is now taking 50% of the page, and then it is actually having 400 pixels, which is I think too much. So we can reduce it to maybe, let's do 270. I don't know, anything. Save, and then it will be looking much better now. Yeah, so it's looking much better now, right? So you can specify your image like this so to look much better this way, right? So go ahead and try your own, put your own image, and tell me if you have any problem with that, right? So that's what we're looking at. So that is for the image. So let's look at the video. So let's add one video. So outside here, let me do it from here. So we can add a video. So just do the video tag. The same thing, just use video, and then the video has the sroc, which is the source attribute, right? So what we want to do is okay, before we do this, in case this image is not showing, the attribute has to show, right? So let's assume the image will make mistake in the name and put this thing here, and then it breaks the image and the image is no longer showing. So if you go back now, you see that the image will no longer be showing. However, we'll be seeing BG image. So you see this icon here with the big BG image. That's what will actually show, because the image is no longer this BG image. So if you call it any other thing here, that's what will show. Okay, that's what will show. All right, so let's bring it back. So remove this and let's save, and that should bring it back. The next one we want to talk about is the video folder. So from the video, the same thing, recall that we'll do dot then slash, and it will open the folder directly in case this disappears and you don't see it. So you are trying to do it and then somehow it disappears. All you need to do is press Ctrl space on your keyboard and it will come back. Press escape, is gone. Ctrl space is back. Escape is gone. Ctrl space is back, right? So we'll come over here, click on videos. Under the videos, we'll have the video we are looking for. So let's click on this video. This video was generated for cybersecurity, and it's still one of the videos I'll be linking in the descriptions. Okay, so if we do this and save, if we go back to our work, you see that now the video is there, even though it's very large, very large, very large, right? So what do? Guess what we can do? We can put width and height, right? Just like we did before. So we can put width and height. So let's do that. You can come over here and say let the width. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let's break this into different lines so I can see them very well. So you can come over here and do this. Okay, so here I'm going to select the width of the image of the video be 50%. You can use any number, right? And then let's say the height, let's put auto for the height. So let the height be automatic height. So if I save now, at this point it should be looking much better. Let's see. Yeah, so it's looking much better now, even though the height is much, right? It's looking much better. We can also reduce. Okay, let's try using pixels, right? So instead of using 50, let me use 300 pixels here. And then for the height, let me use 300 pixels too. That will not look good, but let's see. Yeah, so that's the image now. It's not that bad, it's actually good. Okay, so we'll have it side by side, which is cool. So this is our video. Now notice that the video is not playing and there's no play button. There's no way we can play this video, right? I mean, if you click on it, it might play. Okay, it didn't play. So but then you need to add one very important attribute to the video tag so that it can play. So to do this, we need to go back and add the attribute called controls with X. This attribute comes with S. You must add this as if it's not going to work. Now when we save and go back, you now notice that suddenly we can now play this video. You see, we have the play button, we have the timeline or time frame, we have the volume, we have the expand you can make it multiple screen, and if you click here, you can even download the video and do a little bit of things. You see, you can actually download this video from here. By default, Chrome does that for you.
This is why you need cybersecurity overlays. They make your videos look sharp and help you share online safety tips with everyone.
All right, so that's the video, right? So we can do all of this in the video tag, right? But now if I go back here, notice that there are other things I can do with this video. I don't know if you've ever seen a YouTube video. You see, in the YouTube video, you notice that that there's an overlay on the video. Let me show you what I mean. So I can come over here and I'll create a poster. So this poster is going to be an image that will cover the video for the meantime. It's going to cover the video like a design. It's going to cover the video such that when you are done with, when you now click on the video, the poster is going to disappear while the video will go ahead and play, right? So let's do this. So I'm going to come over here, do dot slash. So this has to be an image, so I'll select the image and then click on, let's use this one instead, right? So we'll just do that and save. Now watch what will happen if I go back to the video. Now we are no longer seeing the video, we are not seeing this picture. So this is the overlay or image. So I will see this design as it's just like after doing this video right now, this tutorial, I'm going to, you know, put an overlay on it, maybe a kind of design, this kind of design on top of the video. You just see this design on top of the video, you know. But when you click on it,
this is why you need cybersecurity overlays.
That's what we're saying. The video start playing, then the image vanishes. If you pause it or stop the video, you see that it will come back again. Anyway, if you refresh, then it will come back again, and then you can do it. So that's what we can do on the video. Apart from that, there are other things you can do on the video. We'll have autoplay. The one wants to, you know, all those videos wants to scroll on top of the video, it will start playing. We'll have autofocus, we'll have autocorrect, and other things. But let me look at autoplay first. It's a Boolean attribute that specifies that the video should play whenever, you know, that's what it means. So if I put autoplay and save, if you come over here immediately,
this is why you need cybersecurity overlays.
So it will just start playing once you refresh the video, or when you scroll to the video, immediately you scroll and get to the video to start playing. You understand? So that's what we're talking about there. And finally, we'll have the loop. Loop means you want it to finish up. When the video finishes playing, let it play again and again and again and again and forever and ever, and keep on playing like that. So if you loop, you see that once the video starts playing, see,
this is why you need cybersecurity overlays.
If it plays to the end, to some point, it will start afresh. You see, it started again, it started playing again. If you play to the end, it starts playing again. That's how it works. That's how it was. That's how it was. At this point, if you have any question, just drop the question in the comment section, and I'm going to look at the question and I'm going to answer every single question there. If you like the video so far, leave a thumbs up, you know, share the video, let other people see it. This is the basis, the very basics. If you want to start programming, this is how you have to start. You need to start from the basics. Don't jump the steps, it's going to affect you later. Start with the basics. And mind you, this particular web development video is going to cover the whole of the front end, both CSS, Bootstrap, Tailwind, JavaScript, TypeScript, React, Redux, and you know, all of that, you know, all the way to back end. We're going to use both PHP, Node.js. We're going to combine a lot of technologies to build a simple application. So if you follow this particular tutorial, by the end of it's actually a course. It's actually a course, but it's free of charge. Okay, it's free of charge. It's actually a course. It's going to take you all the way to the back end. At the end of the day, you should be able to develop your own applications and websites and build it the way you want. That's exactly what we are doing, right? So that is it. That is it. So I'm going to remove this. So I don't want it to loop. So I don't want it to keep on looping and keep on autoplaying. So I can just come over here anyways and say autoplay false. I think I can do false and then loop. Okay, let's save it and see if that works. So
this is why you need cybersecurity over.
That did not work. So I'm going to remove this and press Ctrl. So there's no option for that. Okay, so I'll probably will remove it, but I don't want it to distract us. So I'm going to remove the autoplay concept and just remove it and then leave it this way. All right. So that is what it's going to be. So next, let's look at audio. Let's look at adding audio too. So here I'm going to do audio. So I'll say audio. So for the audio, what I want to do is simple. I want to say audio, the same thing, type audio, and it's going to ask us for the source, do / remember, then select audio. In our audio folder, we'll have different songs here. So I'm just going to use, I'll just use this one, you know, I don't know, because of copyright. Now remember, if you save this and go back to your work, you're not going to see anything, okay, you're not going to see anything, it's not going to allow you to do anything because you have not added the controls, so you don't see anything. So you need to come over here and add the control. This same thing, these controls, you need to add it here. If not, you're not going to see anything. So I'll add controls here and then save. That's all. Once I do this, now I should be able to see my audio. So this is my audio and I can actually play it. So I'm going to mute, or let me just play. I don't know if copyright issues, so I'll just play it. You see it's playing, so I'm going to just mute it because of copyright issues. So I'm going to play it and it's actually playing. See, the video is playing. Stage 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is playing. You can drag it all the way up. You can even download it and do other things, speed playback and all that. So you can do all of this with the music, right? So because of copyright issues, we're not going to play the music, but feel free and do this. All you need to do is to make sure you properly link the image, the video, the audio, sorry, and then also put this control. If you don't put this control, you're not going to see anything. And make sure the control has S. These are common mistakes beginners make in programming, so make sure you have S in this control. If not, you are not going to be able to see anything. Now finally, we'll have the documents. So for the document, we use the anchor tag. The anchor tag is the one we use for the document. So the anchor tag is used for so very many things. Like I told you, we're going to be doing it last, and that's why I left it for the last one. Okay,
This is why you need cybersecurity.
For the last one, so this is the anchor tag, the hyperlink tag. So I'm going to do it together with the navigation, and then we're going to see how they work. So first of all, I'm going to start using it as a document, as in getting a document done, right? So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to say let's link a document. So I'm going to /, so click on any document of our choice. Let's say I want to talk about let's do this PDF, right? I'm going to click here and then I'll just say HTML lesson 2025. Whoa, 2025. Okay, so this is latest, right? This is latest HTML tags, both semantic tags and all that. So I'm going to put pi character and say semantic tags and all that, right? So I'll just save. Once I do this and save and then go back to our work, notice very quickly that we'll now have a link here that we can click to download that particular work. So if I click on this, it's going to open in the same place. So you see HTML tags, so it's actually opening this lesson that we are working on, right? So it's actually opening them. So if I click back here, it brings us back to the lesson. Now that is cool, that is so cool, but however there are so many ways you can do this. Okay, because it's PDF, the reason why I did not download it because it's already in my system, I think. But normally most times when you click on this, it will actually download. But to do this now, there is something else we can add. We can come over here and add some attributes. For example, we can add the target attribute. This target attribute has blank, parent, self, and top, which I'll just explain them very briefly. So if you don't see this on your own, just hold down Control key and press space. It's going to give you the options as long as you're using the latest version of VS Code. Okay, so for blank, you want it to open in a new tab. So new tab is like this: tab 1. You can have another tab here, another tab, just like you have in the work, right? So parent means you want it to open in a new window, and then self means you want it to open in the same place we are. That's the same tab where we are, and top you want it to open in another tab in another window, right? Something like that. So just read it up on your own. It's quite very simple. Well, to be safer and professional, we always use blank, so I'm going to use blank here. Now if I click and save and go over here, notice that when I click on this thing, it's going to open a new tab. In as much as we are in this current tab, so if I click on it, see how it opens a new tab. The existing tab, the one we are working with, is still here, but it opens a new one, right? So that's what we're saying. In this new one, you can actually see this, right? So that's what we're saying. So very important, always use this other target of blank, so it's open in a new place. And it's actually explained here. Let's see. So self loads the URL into the same browser. Okay, exactly. Are you seeing what we're saying? This is the default behavior. Yeah, so blank loads it into a new browser content. This is usually a new tab. Are you getting it now? Now parent loads it into a parent browsing one. That's a new. So if there's no parents, this behaves as same as what the self, this one. Okay, but if there's parents, it opens in a new content. Why top opens to what in the new top level browser. This is what the highest browsing content of the ancestor of the previous or the current table. It has a new parent. I don't know if that makes sense. So if you have a tab opened, okay, it opens in that tab. Okay, it opens in another tab in another window. That kind of a thing. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's simply how it works, right? So that is what we have. So now I'm going to be talking about navigation. Now that we've done all of that, so I'm going to put a HR, which is horizontal line break, and I'm going to put what called mark you. So I'm going to do mark you here. So mark you, I'm going to put a text here. I'm going to say this is very important information. information, right? So I'm going to save that. So we have the behavior. So let me just save this and show you how it looks like first of all. So if you save this and scroll all the way down, you see that we have a line, horizontal line breaking here. That is horizontal line. Recall this horizontal line. Look at the horizontal breakpoint line. So we're using this to break the page into two with horizontal line. And then this mark Q, what it does is simply to write that alert message we're seeing. So what if I don't want the message to be going from right to left? I want it to go the other way around. So what do? I'll come over here in the direction, I'll write it right, and if I save and go back here, see that it's now come from this place. You see, it's not coming from this place towards the right, but I think I should leave it the way it was. Okay, just leave it like that. But you can do all of that. You have behavior, you have smooth behavior, and you have other things. I just price that up. Very simple. Besides, this is fairly old. You have better animations you can do on your page. When you get to JavaScript or CSS, you can do so many other animations that look very cool and very matured. Okay, but I just wanted to point that out. Now the next thing I want to talk about is navigation. Alright, now we're going to be talking about navigation. Navigation simply means moving from one page to another page. How can we do it such that we can move from one page to another page? But before we get into that, I want to talk about the anchor tag itself. Okay. Okay, let's start with that together. We're going to define it and do all of them together. So we're going to start with nav. So nav stands for navigation, right? That's what it stands for. And then inside the navigation, we have the anchor tag. Before now, we normally use the list to do this, but before I think as at 2015, yeah, around 2015, we started using navigation. But before then, we were using list. I personally was using list and to do all of this, and it was still working anyways. But then here we go, it's much better, much easier. Okay. All right. So the first thing I want to do is, let's say we want to, how about if you want somebody to call you, you want to place a call, right? You want somebody to email you and all that. So we can do all of that. So I can say mail to. So I have mail to, I think it's mail to, is it what you called? So if I say mail to cybergate.net@yahoomail.com, I think something like that, and I can say email us. So if I say email us like this, as the test inside the quotes, remember, test inside the quotes, and if I save and then go back to our work, oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 no. Okay, let's go to preview our work from here. So here we'll now have email us. Once I click on email us, notice something very important. It's going to actually open our email platelet and say select the email you want to use. You understand? Select the app you want to use to email this. Why is this possible? Because I used the email us. I used this mail to this guy. The same thing we call. Let me show you. So I have anchor tag here. So if I want to call, I'll just say tel for telephone number. Then I'll put my number, right? So I'll just put any random number here. So I'll put any number. And then I'll say call us today. And if I save, go over to the work, notice that we now have call us today. And once I click on it, notice what happened. It tells me that open an app to make this call. You understand? So this call now, it needs to be a call. Like if I click on pick an app, it's going to open some of the app I have in my phone to be able to place this call. That is the two major, but we'll have a few other things we can do with this. Right now, let's say we want to take you to a new page, right? Sorry about that. So let me say I want to take you to a new page, right? So I put the anchor tag. Let's say about us page. So I'm going to say about. Now watch me closely. This is very important. Even if you don't learn any other thing from now, please learn this. It's very important. Very one of the most important things you're going to be learning from this course is actually what I'm about to give you right now. So we have about.html, which is a new page it will take us to. So we're going to say about us here. Just write about us, and watch, if I save and come over here, we now have about us here. Of course, if you see, the color is different from these colors, right? Which means there's nothing inside it. It's not really taking us, it's not going to take it anywhere. If I click on it, nothing will happen, right? You see, I clicked on it, it just refreshes the page, and it's telling us that cannot get about us because it doesn't exist, right? So what do we have to use to solve this problem? We just have to make it exist by creating it. So go back to our work, go back to our file explorer. In our file explorer, make sure we hide all of this, or just click here to close all the tabs. Make sure you're on the root, right? Make sure on the root, remember this blue line, this border line. So we're going to click on new file, or you can go to file and say new file if you want to, anyone. But then I want to do it from here. It's very simple. Click on file. I'll just say about. Whoa, can I type about .html? That's all. Recall that from here we can simply do our boilerplate, shift 1 and press enter. It's going to give us all of these, and we can just say about us page. Okay, we can save. So here let's do the header. Inside the header we can do h1 and say about us page. So we can do this and save. And that's all we're doing right here. So now if we go back again and click on this page, watch, you see it brings us to about us page. Now the page actually exists. Now let me do one more, then I'll give you another classwork you're going to do for me. So let's click here. Now let me say I have another page, right? So I'm going to come over here and create that page first. So I'm going to come over here and create the page first. Let's say I want to create contact us page. So contact us page, or let's say contact page, contact.html. So press enter, Ctrl B to hide this, and then what I want to do, shift 1 and then boilerplate again. Open this, let's say call it contact us page. Okay, then here again we'll do our header. Let's have our header h1, say contact us page. Now follow me, this is very important. Now if I go back to the index page, which is our home page, I'm going to create our contact us page. So I'll say then to create the contact us page, I'll do. Now if you put hash like this, if you put this hash, it simply means you are making reference to no place. So you're not, the work is not going anywhere, right? So what happens is that it means the work is not going anywhere. So what happens is that it will just refresh the page. However, we know where we're going, so I'm going to do dot, which is the current folder, and slash, which is the root of the current folder, and I want to select contact page. The same thing, contact us today, and then I'll save. Now that is very simple, right? Now let's go over here, and then we'll have contact us page. If I click on it, it's going to take us to the contact us page, and we are here, right? Now I want to have a button such that when I click back here, it's going to take me back to the page where I came from, right? So let's do that. So let's go back to our code. Now I want to do something here, right? So recall that I said you can actually put targets. You can put targets here and then tell it to go blank and all that. We can do all of that, but for now I'm going to leave it empty because I want it to be here, right? So let's work on these two things I just said now. So if I save, if I go to the contact us page, I want to have a link such that when I click on it, it's going to take me to the main page. So in the header here, I'm going to create nav for navigation. I'll create an anchor tag, and now I want to go back to the home page whenever I click on this page. So I'm going to come over here and say / the index page, and I'm going to say home page for the contact us page, and I have to do this today for the about us page. So let me go back here. Let's see how this looks like. So contact us today, I click on it. Once I click on it, it takes me to the contact us page. If I click on home page, it brings me back to the home page. See, we are back on the home page. So I want you to take a minute, pause the video, see if you can do that of the about us page while I'll do it. Okay, so I'll go to about us page, and all I want to do here is come over here and create a nav, and the nav I want to say anchor tag and then I want to say / index.html. I'll now say home page. That's easy, right? That's easy. So now if I click on the about us page, it will take me to the about us page. If I click on the home page, it will take me to the home page. Now the question is this: How do I now do it so that from the about us page or contact us page I can go to any of the page? So from contact us page I should also go to the about us page, and from the about us page I should also go to the contact page, and that's also very simple. So from the about us page I want to be able to go to the contact page. So all I want to do is, now to be on the safer side, what we normally do is to put all the links together, right? So I'm going to come over here and link the about us page. You said this is about us page, the same page. So since it's the same page, I can now remove all of these and put only hash. And then I mean, if you do it the other way around, it's still okay. Okay, if you leave it this way, it's still okay. Okay, so but I just want to show you that this works too, right? So I put hash here and then say about us. So because this is the about us page, okay, and then here I'll put the contact us page. So the contact us page, I'll just do contact. And I'll save. Then let's do the same for the contact. So for the contact, we can have the about us page here. So we can say about us. Then here we can have the contact page. So this time around, let me just type contact page so you can know that you can use any of the methods. Any method of your choice is fine. So now if we save, so that we'll now have a full funded working site, right? So if I click on about us page, it takes me to the about us page. If I click on the contact page, it takes me back to the contact page. If I click on the home page, it takes me to the home page. Any page, all the pages are working, right? All the pages are working. Now, this is cool, right? This is cool, very easy. If you are still at this point and you have gotten everything to this point, congratulations, you are now on your way. You are now like 50% in to what we have to do, right? So there are just few concepts and then we'll call it a day, right? So let's move on. Now, here I have an assignment for you. So let's say we have a dashboard. We have a folder here. There's a new folder, and this is the admin folder. Okay, let's call it admin. So this is the admin folder. Okay, inside admin folder, I want to have a dashboard folder. So I have two folders. I have the admin folder and I have the dashboard folder. Inside the dashboard folder, I have a file. It is called index.html. And someone will say, but we have index before now. How can we have another index? Yes, it's very, very important. It's very, very possible, and you can do that. Once they are not in the same folder, you can have two folders answer the same name, two files answer the same name once they are not in the same folder. I think that makes sense, right? So Control B to hide that, and then Shift 1 to bring our boilerplate. And then if you click this, we can just open this. You can say dashboard. Let's call it admin. Put pipe character and call it dashboard. Let's use capital D here. Yeah. So here I want to add the header. Inside the header, I want to add H1. I'll just call it admin dashboard. Now all I want you to do is simple. Create a navigation system such that we can navigate between the dashboard and every other page and vice versa. So this is it. This in two folders, two subfolders before this particular one. So pause the video and see if you can do it while we take the solution right now. Now from the solution, it's very simple. I'll start from the index page. From the index page of the home page, our main home page, right? So that's what I want to do. So I'm going to put an anchor tag here. So before then, let me put a comment and call it dashboard. So here I want to put an anchor tag. Now I'm going to do the same thing. /admin dashboard index dashboard. So I'm going to call this admin dashboard. I mean, that's all we need to do literally. So if I save this now, notice that it's already working. This admin dashboard, if I click on it, it will take me to the admin dashboard. Very easy. Okay, now but then we have to put the link to take us back, right? So but before we do that, let's do this same thing. So I can actually copy this because they are in the same page. I can actually copy this for the revenue, but I'm going to type it anyway. So I'll just come over here and I'm going to type for dashboard. So I'll say dashboard. So anchor tag, and then what I want to do is to say admin dashboard that, and then that's all dashboard, right? So do it for the last one, which is about us page. By now you should be able to do that. So this should be the dashboard. So we can have the admin dashboard, the same thing, the admin dashboard, that. Okay, so I have admin dashboard. Now that's easy, all of them are working. So from the home page, all of us should be able to get to dashboard. So let's do that of the dashboard. So on the dashboard, it's a little bit different, because in the dashboard I want to put a link now, navigation link. So the link now is going to be different. If you do /, it's not going to give you anything. You just be seeing index. But then recall that we said initially that the previous directory, where is it? I thought it's going to be important. We're going to, look at the previous. You've been using the current directory, so now we want to look at the previous directory. So in the previous directory, that's what we want to use. Already I know you know where we're going to. So here, all we need to do is to come over here in the dashboard. We'll now, instead of using /, we'll now use .. You see, it will bring us to the dashboard. We'll do another .. It will now bring us to the admin. Is it confusing? Take it again. Okay, so previous folder, remember there are two subfolders. We have the admin. Inside admin we have the dashboard. So for you to come out all the way from here, you need to do .. come out to this place, another .. to come out to this place. Then you can see the root folder. That's just what we did. Very simple, right? So now the option is gone. I just have to press Ctrl space to give us the other options. So here, if I want to work on let's start with the index page, the home page. So this is the home page, so we'll call it home page. That's our home page. Then let's do the other ones, and then .. Whoa, can I type? Okay, so here I want to get the about us, so call it about us. And then finally I want to get the contact page. I'm going to call it contact us. Now if we save and go back to our work, notice that if I click on admin, it will open the admin page. From the admin, I can click on about us, it will take us to the about us page. You see, from the about us page, I can go back to the admin page, and then from admin page I can also go to contact page, and I can also go back to the admin page, and from admin page I can go back to the home page. Any page is now available for us to peruse, right? We can solve, right? So that is the solution to the problem that we have. So we have completed this module, and we've dealt with anchor tag, we've dealt with navigation, we've dealt with image tag, audio, video, and other ones. We dealt with all the type of list, the different type ordered another list, and we have descriptive list and everything. So we've dealt with this. So next we'll look at the next slide. So in this slide we're going to be talking about something very, very important in programming, which is tables. So I'm going to talk about table. I'll just talk about direct table, the main table. I mean, you see here I can do normal table, I can do table structure. So I'm going to be using table structure, since this one is also falling inside this. So we're going to do them all at once, so that it just makes sense at once. After that we'll look at forms. After forms we'll look at this, and then we'll continue from there. Alright, so let's get into the tables. So to do this is very simple. I'm going to come over to where we're working with. Okay, let's do this table from about us, right? Let's do it from about us. So under here we're going to create the main. Inside the main, I'm going to create a very simple table first of all, then we'll create a complex one, so that it will just all make sense. So of course the concept is just to create table. So to say table, so once you say table, you have the rows of the table. Now table is drawn this way. Everybody knows that table is drawn this way. So these are the rows: row 1, row 2, don't mind my drawing, row 3, row 4, row 5, row 6, and so on. So now this is the column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, and so on. So this could be the serial number. So we can have SN, can type SN. So this could be 2, this could be 3, this could be 4, okay, and then let's say this is 5. So these are the tables. So we can have the names of the table and all that, maybe item I. So we can have I here, we can have maybe J, we can have K, or we can have let's say M here. So we can have so we can have stuff like that. They have some numbers or figures inside these, and all of that fit in the table. So the first thing you need to consider is the row of the table. So let's say I want to design a table for, let's say, for a market product. So you can have the first row column, you can have the number of the product, and we can have the price and the quantity. So here could be the serial number. So serial number, so let's say this is serial number. Then this could be the name of the product. So you can have the name of the product to be this, and then we can have the quantity. Let's call it QTY. Then we can have the price. Okay, so you can have one. Now this becomes the first row, this becomes the second row. So this is the first row, this is the second row, this is the third row, as it were, and so on. So let's say we want to create this table. Let's say we want to create this table and see how we can achieve this. All right, so let's do this. Now here, the first row we just talked about will be T row. There's the first row, the one that contains serial number. Then the in that first row, this is first row, the one that contains serial number and all that. So in that first row we have the column, right? In that row you have the column in that row. So what we want to do is simple. We're going to say the table head, T head. So the first one is the serial number, and then the second one is second head there is the name of the products. The third one is the quantity QTY. The third one is the price, right? That's what we have. So this is the first row we just talked about. That's this. So let's do the second row. So on the second row, so if I save, let's see what we have first. So if I save and go over to, let's go to Chrome. So click on About Us. Yeah, so this is the first row. We have the serial number, the name, the quantity, and this. I mean, we can spread this all the way to this place. We're going to do that in a minute, so just follow me. I'll be a little bit fast on this. So let's go back to VS Code. So here, the second row. So for the serial number, this will be table data TD, which will be table data. So it will be 1, and then the second data there will be name of the product. Let's say we're selling HP laptop G4. Okay, and then let's say we have about 6 pieces, so quantity 6, and then we have the price. Let's say the price is okay. Let's assume the price is $100. Okay, so that is what we have here. That's what we have here. So if I save and go back to our work again, notice that now we have this. So we have serial number 1, HP laptop, this quantity 6, and this, right? So let's add another product. Yeah, right, let's add another product. To do that, we'll just do TR again, the second row again. So the third row, right? So we have the TD, that's the table data. So the serial number will be 2, of course. Then the TD here, let's say here we'll have Dell laptop, Dell latitude. So here let's say we'll have about maybe 3 pieces, and then let's say the price is I don't know, maybe let's say $96. Okay, so we can have this, and then if we save, come over here, you see that we now have their latitude and this, all of that. Okay, so that's the products we have, right? So but then let's have one more thing. So let me just add one more thing for a reason. Or let's skip that. Okay, so it's looking good, but I want to space it out. So I'm going to come over to this table. I'm going to give you width. Width. So width of, I'm going to do 50%. You can use any one of your choice, and the height will be default. So if I do this and save, notice that the table will spread. You see, it just spread out, right? So let me make it 75% so it makes sense to you. So save 75%, it will just spread out. Yeah, so it spread out like that, right? Which is cool. Now I want to add border to this table so that it will make a more sense. So I'll just do border like that. I'll just leave it empty for now and save. See that it will now have border around it. See, this table now has border around it, which is cool, right? Which is cool. But if you don't want it to have border, you can put 0 here, and then it won't have any border, right? It won't have any border, but I want it to have border. So what I need to do is just to say 1. You can use 1. You can use any figure of your choice. If you use 2, 10, the bigger the number, the weight of the line, the bigger the weight of the line, right? So that's what we'll have here. Very simple. We're going to be doing a table maybe in Bootstrap, where we'll be doing more colorful and good looking table. But for now, this is what we have. But this is not a standard way of doing table in HTML. So I'm going to show you the standard way of doing table in HTML, and I will be a little bit fast. I'll just explain it. So the concept is simple. So let's just call it standard table. If you recall from here, we'll talk about the table structure. So this T head, T body, T foot, using the table caption and all that. So that's what I want to do. So I'm going to come over here and let's call it a table structure. So I'll just put something, call it standard. So this will be the way I would do a table if I'm doing a real work application. So we'll start with table, nothing serious. So then the first thing we want to do is the table head. So we'll have the table. Let me do it this way first. We'll have the table head, we'll have the table body, and we'll have the table foot. That's T foot. This is how this content. So this content you have here now would have been grouped into these 3 major ways. So for the table head, we'll go with TR again. In the TR, we have the same thing. You know what? Let me have okay, you know what, let's do it this way. So table head again, T head. So in the T head, let me say this time around I have so I have /n, I don't know, T head again. This I have names of students. Okay. Then T H again. Let's say I have class, and then finally let's say we'll have maybe score, right? Something like that. Okay, so we can have something like that. And here, so we can have the names of the students. So the very first thing is the serial number of the student. So for the serial number of the student, so I have TR here. So TR is the serial number of the student. So I'll just say 1. Okay, or let's say 100. So here we can have oh no, not that, sorry. So table data, sorry. So I have 100. So we can have so let's make it like a rearrange number, right? So we can have 25/100. That doesn't make sense. Let's use 1 and 2, right? Just very simple. 1, 2, 3. So I have TD here. So this TD is going to be the name of the student. So the name of the students, I'll call it Adams. Adam Smith. Okay. So here we have TD, and let's say the class. We have it's elementary. Is that the spelling of elementary? I don't know the spelling again. Alright, so we have the score. Let's say Adam scored 82 average. So I'm going to have these copied over into 2. So I'm going to copy this inside the body. Remember, I'm still inside the body, placing in 2 places. So instead of Adam, let's have George Williams. Okay, and then let's say secondary. Can I spell secondary? So let's say George is scoring, maybe say let's say 67 or whatever, doesn't really matter. Then the number, of course, here will be 2, and this one will be 3. And let's do one more person. Let's have Bush, and say we have Bush Prince. Let's say stationery, something like that. Let's say use one random number again. Let's say 59 or whatever, doesn't really matter. So for the body, so if we save and go over here, you see that we have not there here. So you see we have a new table. It has the serial number, names of student, class, score, and we have all of this, right? So let's want to have some total here, some total, some last thing. So go to the footer, and then I'll show you the difference between them. So they don't do much, but I'll just show you the difference between them. So for the footer, I have a T row. So in this row, I have a table data. Then this data, let's say, is going to say summary, and then it's going to give us maybe total of say 1000. Okay, if I save, it's going to look weird, right? So it's going to look somehow. So we have summary, and this doesn't collide, but I'm going to make it fit. So to do that, let me go to the table first of all. So from the table, I want to come over here, and in the table, let's give it the border first. So okay, let's give it width first. So width of the table, let's say the width is let me do 90%. Okay, let's do 80%. Okay, 80% of the width, and then I want to give it border. Okay, so save. That's all. So if we come over here now, you see that we have a table that is very cool, and it's looking this way, right? So we want to fix this. I want this summary to cover all of this place, and then this will be the total score, right? Let this one be the total score. I'm not going to do the total score now because we don't have what it takes to do it right now. We need to do it with JavaScript, or maybe even if it's CSS, we can actually do the total, but we can't do it right now. So I just assume the total is 1000, right? So having done that, so I'm going to come over here. I'm going to use the span tag. So I'm going to span the columns. So I'm going to say column span. I want it to span into 3 columns. Now what I want to do is simple. I want this summary to cover column 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so to do that, I'll just say 3 here. I'll just put 3 here, and that's all. If I save and if we come back here, I don't know why that keeps happening. See, so have summary here, and it spans all the way to the 3rd column, and then we'll have the last one here. The same thing, as we are spanning the columns, you can also span the rows, right? You can span the rows, which means you want to combine this and this together. You can do that. Let's say 2%, this is elementary and secondary, so you want to combine 2 of them. You can actually combine the 2 into one cell. And because we are doing practical, so let me actually do that. So let me say I want to combine. So I'm going to remove element. Let's remove this. Let's remove secondary. Okay, let's remove secondary. Let's just put this one. So I want to span this into 2. So I'm going to say row span. So row span into 2. So if I save and then come back, oh no, come back here. All right, so notice that the elementary is now covering the 2, so it's covering both here and here, if you can see that. So it's covering both here. So these two column is now 1. You see, this 2 is now 1. It's now covering it. Why this one is spanning all the way? It's all being divided into here and here. It's actually spanning all the way through there, right? So that's what we're saying. Very, very important. So with this, you'll be able to do a standard table. So to do a standard table, you must use the method we used in this last one. Okay, so if I hide it out, let me just hide it out so you can see what we did. Let me do this. Okay, so yeah, okay, so this is what we did. So I have this. Now let me do something. If I move this footer from here, I'll hold an alternate key on my keyboard, and then I'm going to hold you press arrow key up. Alternate key on my keyboard, I'll press arrow key, or you can hold option key if you're on Mac. Hold an option key and push this code all the way to the top, maybe even before the head. So watch what happened. Look at what I did. Let me show you. So now the T foot that was below is now above. This T foot was below, so I push the code up, and now by now you know that in HTML, whenever you push a code, the code that comes first will be compiled first, the one that comes second will be compiled second, and so on. However, if I save this code and go back, you see that the whole thing remains the same. Why? Because we use T foot. In using T foot, if you push the code, this code now all the way to the top here, it doesn't replace it because you have already told the code that the foot is the footer. That's the one you want it to be the last thing on your table, so it doesn't push it up. It maintains that hierarchy in it. That's one of the importance of using the T foot and many other things. I hope that makes sense. See you in the next one. Bye. So here we have, oh no, hold on, we are not done yet. I just realized we haven't talked about the form, so we need to talk about the form and the input element. I'm going to make it in a way to be a little bit very simple and easy. So for this form, I want to use the contact form. I want us to have the contact form. So on the contact page, we're going to have the main page here. So in the main page, we're going to deal with form. I'm going to create a very simple form first, and then I'm going to create a complex one. So let's do a simple login form and see how it looks like. So I'm going to start with what we call the field set. The field set is simply a borderline that will, circle around our form, so that the form will look nice, just for decoration purposes, right? So I'm going to have legend. Legend is simply the tag that helps us to break in between the lines and put something there. So for example, I can say login form. I can do this, right? And then inside here I can now create my form tag. So this is my form tag. Now the form has different things. So we'll have the so the form has these major attributes. So I have the action. Action is simply we're going to talk about this in the back end, so but I'll just explain it very quickly. So action is simply where you want to send the form to. For example, this is where whenever I submit this form, if it's a login form, once I put my email and password and press enter, wherever it's going to take me is what we mean by action. Okay, anywhere the form is going to submit to, that's what the action. The method is how. So let me just put this where. So this where is going to submit to, where to submit to. Okay, then this is how you want it to submit it. How you want it to submit it. This how we have three major methods. If I hold on Control key and press space, you have the post and get method. So these are the two major methods. We have dialog, but we have post and get. Post, we'll explain that later. Just know that it's post and get. Okay, we're going to explain that much later in our backend. And then we have encryptor. Encryptor is simply how you want to send the file. You want to send it as a plain text or as a multi-form. Yeah, you want to send images or files, or maybe you want people to upload their CV, their passport, or you want to take thumbprinting and all that. Okay, or you can use application methods. So these are the methods we can use. These are the things, attributes for the form, but we're not using them now because we're using HTML, only plain HTML. So we're going to start with this. So the very first thing we want to look at is, we've talked about the form, so I'm going to look at input, label, test area and all that. So let's look at that. So the first thing we want to talk about is the label. So we'll start with the label. The label, what it does is simply to tell us, to describe the input we are working with. It describes the input. So to do this, for the label, all I want to do is to come over here and say okay, let's say we are logging in with username and password. So we're going to say username here. So if you save and check this, you see that let's go to Chrome. So click on contact us. Yeah, so you see we have the user login form. This is the legend. So this is the legend. Let me use my annotation tool. So this is the legend. This is what the legend does. It breaks this form into this. Why this line you're seeing around it is the field set. Then this is the label. Okay, that's what we're saying. This is the label. So let's continue from there. So I want to put an input that we can type in. So to do that, we'll go back to our code. So under here we'll say input. So notice something. Notice that I will just come, I'll just type the input. Once I type it, I'll press tab and it gives me what I want, right? So this is input type of text. I'll just save that, and now you see that in our form we'll suddenly have an input you can type with. So I can come over here and type something on our input, which is very cool, very cool, right? So that is what we'll have. Now I want to show you something very important. Even if you forgot everything we learned today, please do not forget this. That all input can be accessed by their values. We have value for the input. For example, if I say the value is CyberGate network limited, okay, networking limited, or whatever thing you want to call it, that's not actually our name. So if I save, go back to the work, notice that inside here now I have a value that says CyberGate limited, and this is a value. Like, what I mean by a value is I can actually, you see, I'm cleaning, one after the other. I'm cleaning it. Are you getting it? I'm cleaning it, and I can clean it and type another one. However, if I refresh, it comes back. You see, because that's a value. However, we don't like using. It's not advisable to use value unless you want to persist the concept. For example, if I use value, I can add some more attributes of maybe let's say read only. I can add read only here. If I add read only and save, notice that from now I can't even edit it. You see, it's read only. I can no longer edit it. I'm trying to edit this, but I can't edit it. You see, I can't edit it. Why? Because it's read only. I've added the value and it's just read only. I don't want the user to be able to edit it. Unless the user want to bypass it or maybe to hack the application, they can use other ways to do that. For example, if you press Ctrl+Shift+I on your keyboard, you're going to see the developer tools. If you go to elements, so from elements, you're going to be seeing the element. So I'm going to specify the tool I want. I'm going to use the selection tool here, and I'm going to click on that input field. Once I click on the input field, I can see that it's actually read only, and I can remove it from here. Once I remove it from here, you see I'm not able to edit it. It's a very simple hack you can just simply do, and it's for educational purposes only. Of course, if the backend is not strong, this will go through. So I can actually change the value here and do another thing just from HTML here. You see, I can actually do that, right? So that's how powerful it is. Of course, if you refresh it, to come back to you, right? So let's close that up. Just wanted to show you that. Now let's go back and see what's actually what's the best way we can actually do this, right? So instead of using value, let's remove the read only. Instead of using value, we use what we call placeholder. So placeholder is like an imaginary text that stays and hides your input. Okay, so I'm going to say enter your username. Okay, now when I do this, watch what will happen. I'll save, go back to the output. Now I have enter your username. Okay, so enter your username. Now if I click on it, I can just start typing. Immediately I start typing the key. You see, just strike one key and you see everything goes off. Okay, that is the test input. So now this is just one type of input. This is the test input, test type of input. This type is the attribute. Remember, this is the attribute, this is an attribute, this is an attribute. All these things are attributes. Anything you add to the input field is an attribute. If I come over here in the form and add something like class, this class becomes what? An attribute. You say a specific, I don't know what he's saying, but I'm looking for where he said attribute. He didn't say it here, but it's fine. Okay, but then it's an attribute. You can even use your name as an attribute. So I can have my name here as an attribute, set it equals to true. Okay, this is an attribute. Okay, this is an attribute. Okay, that's what it is. So but later we can look at how we can do this in CSS. All right, so but then that is what it is. We can do it in CSS, we can do it in JavaScript and other things, right? So this is just one. So let me do one more thing. So let me say I want to get password too. Remember, we're working on login form. I want to get a password too. So to get a password, I'll just say password, and then here I'll just say password. Then I'll say input type of password. You see what I did? Input type of password. So I can do this, and then it gives me password. So it gave me an attribute of name and ID. I don't need it for now, so I'll just remove them. Then I'll put my placeholder again, and just say enter your password. Yeah, we'll save now. And finally, I just want to add a button, so I'll come over here and say button. So if I do button here, I'll say submit, or the button, let's just say login here, that kind of thing. So if I just save, I'll come over here. Now notice that I have a full login form. So I have the username, can enter username, can enter password. So let's type our password. You see, just type our password and then click on login. If I click on login, watch, you see, before it's actually submitting, it has been submitted, right? So it has been submitted. So you can do this here. Now if I want to move this login from here to maybe the center of the page, I'll use what we call margin. We're going to talk about that in CSS, but I'll just do it with watch what I'll do. I'll just use an attribute, style attribute. You can say style and then say margin right. So I can do margin right, and then I'll just say maybe 200 pixels. I don't know if that's too much. So if I save, come over here, and it didn't even work. No, we'll do that in, I don't know why it didn't work, but we'll do that in CSS. Let me not stress that. Okay, it's not even that necessary, but you can move it using margin. I think margin left. I think I should have used left, not right. I don't know. Margin left. If I try it didn't work, we'll just leave it. Okay, and use. Okay, it actually worked now. Yeah, it actually worked. So margin left. Now you will have it in the center, right? I forgot. Yeah, left is from the left. Yeah, it's actually not from the left. Yeah, so sorry about that. So we actually moved it here, but it's not that necessary. I mean, you can leave it wherever it is. And then what we can do next is to add caption to this table. So apart from after legend, you can add caption if you want to. So caption is just the caption of the table or the form. So I'll just say, you can use it in table too. I'll just say user login, I don't know, something like that. Save, so we'll have a caption here, user login. It doesn't really make sense anyway, but I mean, you can use it if you want to. So this is a very simple form we can do in our work. Now the concept is simple. I mean, we've done this form, so I'm going to do another form here. So HR to break a line break. So this one I'm not going to use field set or any other thing because I just want to use this to explain something. So here all I'm going to do is just to say open form, and then there are a few things we need to talk about. The first one is the input. So this input, we have different types of input. So if you just do input and this is the type. Remove this type and then put control space. You see all the types you can use. So on your own, go ahead and put any of this type and you see what they do. For example, we have email, we have file. If I do file, let's say I'll just rush this part, I don't want it to be too long. So see, choose a file. If I click on choose a file, it's going to open my file directory and I can choose any file of my choice and I can use it, right? So if I come over here to, instead of file, if I use something like checkbox and save, you see that I will now have a checkbox that I can check. You see, I can check and uncheck. And we have so many of them. We have so many. We have color. Can use color. Yeah. So you can select color. It gives you color plate. You can select any color of your choice. We're using the RGBA color, any kind of HSL color, any other type of color, or HSL color. You can use any type of this color of your choice. So now if we go over here again, and then choose other ones. Okay, we have other ones like a radio button, we have range, we have reset. So range is just gives you the range of numbers you can select. So you can select between range. It has other features like the range can have step. You can have step. You can have size. Okay, let's start with step first. You can have okay, let's do minimum and maximum value. So we have mean value. Let's say minimum value is 20. Let's say maximum value is 100. And then the current value or step, I think it's step they call it here, step is 10. Okay, now watch what 10 step does. Steps makes you to, so this is the value. So if you move it, see it's moving by 10. See, it's jumping, it's not scrolling smoothly, it's jumping. Okay, that's what step does. That's what that step does. So we have minimum length and maximum length of that. You can practice that on your own, right? So and we have an input. Let me do one more, and we have number, we have dates. Let me just do dates. Okay, save that. Go over here, you see that we'll see the date too. If you click on it, the dates will come up. You can select the date of your choice and you can use that. All right, so that is it on that. So we can do so many other things. So what I want to do is to do a sign up form that will help us to do something. So I'm going to miss a few number of things, like we have test area. So we have test area is simply like the comment section. So you can have a comment section. So if I have placeholder here, I can say write a comment, like the comment box you have in Facebook. So you can do that. So this is a comment box, so you can just write your comments here, and it's extendable. You can extend it, expand it to anyhow you like, the size, the width and height and all that. You can do all of that, right? You can do all of that. So that is what we have there. I don't want to stress that so much, so just go ahead and check other ones we have and go ahead and use them, right? The first thing I want to do here is simple. Let's remove this. So I want to create a sign up form. So I'm going to do caption. I'm going to say user sign up, or create account. Let's just say create account. Under create account, I want to have the label. So for the label, the first thing I want is, okay, let's say username, just say username here. So input type of text, I'll just say enter enter your username. I'll do a line break here. Okay, you can also use div. You know what, let's use div, right? Let's use, using line break, let's use div. So div is for division. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to just use div. So I'll put this inside a div. So it's going to be for division. It's going to wrap around the whole code and makes it look better. Okay, so here I'm going to create another div for division. So I'm going to have a label here. So the label is going to be, this one is going to be for the email. This is going to be for the email. So I'll just say email, and inside I'm going to use input type of email, and then I'm going to use placeholder of enter a valid email. Okay, let's say enter your email. Now I'm going to add two things. I'm going to add title. I'm going to say enter let's wrap that, enter a valid email. Now I'm going to add required. You can actually set it to true if you want to. It's the same thing as saying just required. So if I save this so far and go back to our work, notice I have email and password. Now if I try to submit this form without entering email, it will now, but also check if I put my cursor here you see this sign that says enter valid email. You see it comes out, but it's not here. That thing is done by the title. This title we did here. So this title is all the, then this require is making sure the email is valid before you can submit the email form. So next I want to add password and confirm password, or I just add only password. So just a label of password. This one I'll call it pwd. So I'm going to say password here, then input type of password. So I'll say placeholder enter password. I can add title saying use strong password. Okay, yeah. So because I use pwd here, I will come over here and say id of pwd, id the identity. So that this will be this. Now what it does is simple. It makes it so that whenever you click on this, it will activate this. That's what it does. So let me show you what it does. So save, come over here. So have password. Now watch, if I click on username, nothing happened. It doesn't select this, but look at password. If I click on password, it selects this input. So this password, this word password, there's a label, and the input is actually binded together with the 4 attributes. That's the reason for this 4 here. In CSS, we're going to use this and do a small tactics. You're going to see how we're going to use this to do a big deal stuff. So the last thing I want to show you here is that in as much as we have buttons that we can use, we can also use the input, but then use it as a type of button. So input type of button, we can use input type of button, or input type of submit. So you can use anyone then, but then here now we use value instead of placeholder. We're going to use value, because if you use placeholder it won't work, right? So for the value, we're going to say create account or sign up. Let's call it sign up and save. Now we have a complete form where we have a sign up form. So if I try to submit this form, I get an error saying please fill out this field. This fill out this field is coming because of this required attribute we did here. This required attribute from the email. So email is compulsory. If you don't put your email, you won't be able to submit this. Now let's even do something. Let's assume we want the password not to be less than 4 characters, and not more than 8 characters. Let's do that. So in your password, we want the password to be at least 4 characters. So let's do that. We're going to come over here and say the minimum character we want is 4, and the maximum character we want is 8. So that's how we want the password to be. We can even put pattern. I think it's pattern is called pattern. Yeah, you can put pattern, that's regular expressions, where you want the password to be a particular thing. Okay, but we'll consider this much later. So let me just save and show you. So the password now, if you type only, let's say you type, if you try to submit, of course you can't submit, the email is not correct. Now let's say you have username, Cybergate. Can I type Cybergate? So I have Cybergate here, and you have email of Cybergate. So let's say Cybergate at gmail.com, something like that is fine. So and then it's correct. Now if I can submit, actually no, let's try. Actually I was able to submit. I'm not supposed to be able to submit, but let's see why that happened. Okay, so the email Cybergate at gmail.com. So the password now, if I type, oh, I did not put required. Yes, I did not put required in password. I know why. So if I type characters now, I did not put required. So let's fix that. Let's fix that error. So in the password, you need to put required here too. You need to put required. Okay. So this should work. Or I think it's min length. Let's try it again. If it doesn't work, it means it's min length, right? So let's try that. Let's put email. I'll just put an email for here. Then click. Yeah, fill out this field. Let's put 2 characters. Yeah, please match the requested format. Use strong password. Okay, so remember we say use strong password. Okay, so if you do this again, it's still saying use strong password. Why do we have the error? Please match the request. Oh yes, because we use pattern and the pattern is actually empty. Yeah, sorry about that. The pattern is empty, so it's not going to match anything. If we use /w, we can be matching something, okay, which is all alphabetical orders characters. If you use /s, we'll be matching numbers and all that, but we'll talk about that in the next video. Okay, so let me clear this out. And I think this minimum length is not, so let's use minimum length. So min length actually and mass length. Okay, let's do the mass length. So now this is going to work. So if we go back again, If we go back again and try to submit, of course email will not allow us. Let's assume email allows us, then try to submit again. You see, it's a fill out this field. If I put 2 characters, it's telling me good, now it's working. Say please lengthen this text to 4 characters or more. You are currently using 2 characters. So if I try to put more than 4 characters, so if I put more than 8 characters, you see, I'm still typing. I'm pressing my keyboard, I'm bashing my keyboard, but then it couldn't type more than 8 characters because here we specified that we want only the length of 8 characters, the maximum length of 8 characters and the minimum of 4 characters. I think that makes sense with forms. So go ahead and practice, go ahead and try different things in the form and see if you can get it right. So the last thing I want to do on the form is, let's assume we want to select gender. So we can say form. So let's select gender. So gender is going to be let's say, how do I do this now? So we're going to have 2 inputs. The first input is going to be let's call it checkbox. Okay, checkbox. So that should be a checkbox. So for the checkbox, let me close this. I'm going to have a span here. So this one is going to be for male, and I'll just duplicate the whole thing and make this female, female. Now we're going to save and come over here. There's a problem here. The problem is that okay, let's use radio button. Yeah, the problem is that you can check here, you can select that you're a male and also select that you're a female at the same time and sign up, right? So but then we want to prevent that. So let's go back to our work. How do we prevent this? First of all, we'll use radio button. So I'm going to double click on checkbox. Double click is tapping your keyboard twice, tapping your mouse twice, and then press Ctrl D on your keyboard and you can select the 2 of them. So if I wipe, I can wipe the 2 of them and actually type the 2 of them at the same time, right? So what I want to do here is just to say radio. That's all. Once I do this, I'm done. Now if I save and go back again, you see that now the button have changed. It's no longer that button, it's another button. So if I click here and I click here, see, I can still select 2 of them. So what's the difference? So let's fix this. Now what I want to do is to come over here, click here, hold down my alternate key or options key on Mac, click here, and I can be able to type in the 2 fields at the same time. So if I put space, I can put name, and the name I want to put is gender. Once I do this and save, that's all. Go back here, and now if I select male and I try to select female, you see, if you select female and you want to select male, it will just be switching 2 of them. It will not allow you to select a particular one, the 2 of them at the same time. So this is how you can do this, so that only if you want it to be 32, if you want it to be if you want there to be a 3rd option, so you can just duplicate this and call this one others. If there's anything like that, there's no that, they just male and female anyways. So but then these are just an example. So if you come over here, you see that we have male, we have female. If you try to do others, it will just switch in between them, but there are no others, so I'll just remove that. Okay, let's just remove that. Okay, so just have male and female. So that's how you can do that in your work. So just select 1 or 2, select 1 or 2. Okay, so that is what we have. And finally, I keep saying finally, but this is the finally of the finally. And then I have the progress bar. So the progress bar, if I just save it, look at how it looks like. That time you are downloading something, you see this, something like this, there's loading. So that's your progress bar. It can be used to do this, right? So let's look at this. Let's look at this. So you can assign some values to the progress bar, but on your own, you can simply just Google it out and find out more about this. So with this, having said all this, we've come to the end of this form. Okay, we're done with form element, text area, label, input. We've done that. So the last thing, I've already done field set, legend, button. Let's do select option, and then we know we are done with this module, right? So the last thing there is the select module. So I'll do a div here and use a select. Select simply gives you multiple options to choose from a single form. So to do that, I'm going to come over here and say select, and I'm going to have options. So the first option is going to, let's say you want to select marital status, right? So let's leave value for now. So I'm going to say marital status. Under this, I'll have option. The next option, not option group. We have option group anyway. So, but then you just an option. So in the option, I'll just have single. Let's say married. Let's say divorced. Let's say separated. let's say we do or we do or whatever. Okay, and then finally let's have searching, and stuff like that. Now there's a problem in this. Just watch. So if I save and come over to our work, notice that we have marital status, and if I click on it, it's going to open and we can select all these things, any of them. But there's a problem. The problem is that I can select marital status as my status, so I can come over here and boldly select marital status as my status. So to prevent this from working, this is now part of form validation. So to prevent this and validate this form, we're going to come over here and select marital status. So we're going to manually select marital status. So we're going to say marital status is selected. So if I click here and go back now, you see that marital status is selected. So now that's the selected one, but then you see I can still select it. So all I need to do now is to go back and disable it. Since I've selected it, I'll just disable it. Now why do we have to do this? If I disable this and come over here, you see that it is still marital status, but if I open it up, I can no longer select I'm trying to click it, but I can't click marital status. No matter how hard I try, I can only select from the remaining options. Now if you remove selected and only use disable, if you go over here, you see that it is disabled and it's not even selected, so you cannot select it, it's disabled. But the essence of selecting it here is so that it will actually be the one the user can see. So the user can see that this is marital status, they can open it up and then they see the options they can select. So that is how we know we are done with forms. Okay, go ahead and try different types of attributes in the form. We'll have different attributes you can try. We'll have the dates, the file, we'll have the options, we'll have the color, we'll have even URL, we'll have a lot of them that you can try on your own, and then give me feedback in the comment section if anyone you think we should do that we did not do. Of course, we're going to cover some of them more in like there's one called data list. Okay, we'll have the one of data list, so we're going to talk about some of those things much later in the course. Okay, see you in the next one. Take care. Alright, so in this module we're going to be talking about an intermediary level of HTML tags. The first one is going to be the summary tag, and I'm going to look at the details tag. These are the collapsible content, right? And then we'll have the dialog, which is a modal box. We will not be able to do that actually because you need JavaScript to implement some of that. Then I'm going to talk about the array attribute and some other attributes that are very important. So let's go to it very quickly. Now the very first thing we want to do here is simple. We need to understand this is some kind of advanced HTML. You use them alongside with JavaScript and all that. So let me start with the summary tag anyways. So the summary tag, if you look at it, very simple. It says that the summary element represents a summary, a caption or a legend for the rest of the word content of the summary element parents. Okay, details element, okay, if any, of course. So I can say this is a summary. Let's look at the problem. This is a summary of, let's look at it, summary of the whole matter. Okay, this is that. This is a summary of the whole matter. Of course, if I save and go over here, you won't see. Oh, let's go back to the browser. Okay, yeah. So you see, okay, this is a summary of the whole matter. Is right there. It's not really doing anything because like I said, some of them needs JavaScript to be implemented. However, if you look at something like the details tag, so we have details. So we can say read more here. Okay, that kind of a thing. So if I save, you see that we're going to have detail, a drop down menu. It's not a drop down menu, it's a hidden tag. Okay, you just have to click on a button to review the content. So if you click on this button, it will review the content. You see read more here, right? So but before we move on, let me just do something very quickly. On the main, I'm going to use in fact on the body, I'm going to use a style tag. Okay, a style tag is a CSS tag. What it does is simple. It helps you to write inline CSS, right? Inline CSS, just like this one is internal CSS. Okay, this one is internal CSS. Why this one is external CSS? Because it's outside the file, and then we have the inline CSS, which is the one we are writing inside the tag. And this concept is known as the attribute. Okay, this is an attribute. So anytime you see something written in tag, see it says this attribute and the style elements have mainly purpose. You understand the fact? So that is what we're saying. So I'm going to just quickly come over here and say margin, margin auto, and then I'm going to say width, set the width to 80%. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want the page to be formatted properly so you can see the content very well. So that's why I'm doing this. So you're going to see it's going to come to the middle of the content so that you can see the whole content very well. And we do this very well in all this way. You see now the content is just at the middle. You can see the margin here. This is the margin. You can see another margin from this angle, so the whole content of the page can be at the middle and you can see everything properly. Now if I click on this button, see that you can see the read more option here. Of course you can put a whole lot of text here. Let me show you. So from let's go back to here. Where is it? Yeah, so here I can even put some more content here. I can say lorem, let's say lorem 50, enter. It's going to give me 50 demo text, right? If I save and go back to our work, you notice very quickly that I have some more text that is hidden. So you just click on it and it will show the content. So if I come over here, see, if I click on more, see that I have a whole lot of content that is hidden. But if you click here, see that it's hidden. But if you click, it shows the content inside here. So that's what we can do with that. And again, we'll have the details. Let's see what we have next. We'll have dialog box. Yeah, this dialog box is actually used for modeling, right? We use it for modeling. That is model box, like a pop-up. Okay, pop-up was just like we did when we did in this confirm. It brought a pop-up on the window. Yeah, that's what it does. But of course, it's not going to do anything if I put it there. I say I can say this is a model. It's not going to do anything because you need JavaScript to implement this, right? So this is a model box. All right, so we can save. So if you come over here, you see that you're not going to see that box, right? It's not going to pop up because we need to implement it for it to, actually work. That's what we are seeing. So you see, we don't have the box right here. We don't have the box right here. So that is how it is. We need JavaScript to implement that so that it can work. And finally, we have the array attributes. The array attribute is simply used. Let me put a paragraph. All these things I'm writing aside here, I think I should put them inside the main. Yeah, let me put it. I'm going to highlight them. Then I'm going to hold my alternate key, and I want to move it just above here between this font close and this. So I'm going to just hold an alternate key on my keyboard. If you are using Mac, hold down the option key and then press your arrow key up, and then it's going to move it up. You see, it moves it up. And then if you check down here, see that the main is now right here. So if you press it one more time, it moves it even further, and so on. Right, so under here I'm going to put a line break HR. So it's going to draw a horizontal line break across the page. You can also put a BR for normal line break, right? So here I'm going to put a paragraph, and in the paragraph, what I want to do is just to say this is a paragraph. Okay, so that's what I want to do. So here I'm going to put attribute. So recall that we said that anything you put in between the tag this way is an attribute. For example, I can put cybergate here and equal to true. This is an attribute, right? Cybergate becomes an attribute. If I hover on it, let me see. I hover on that. Let's go over again. Nothing is coming up. Let's see. We have ID attributes. Let's see, a unique identifier. Yeah, so this is a unique identifier that identifies that this element is unique from the whole document. It's very, very unique. Okay, we have that. We have classes, which is class can be a group. Okay, it's used to specify a group or a list of elements that can be used to implement both CSS and JavaScript. You see, classes allowed CSS JavaScript to be what selected. So you can, without classes and ID, you cannot select elements. We call them class selectors. We have ID selectors and so on. So for JavaScript, we use something like document.getElement by class name, while for ID we use document.getElement by ID. Okay, we're going to get to all of that during this time. So but then you notice that I can define an ID that doesn't exist, an attribute that doesn't exist. So this is an attribute, this is an attribute. Anytime you add anything here, it becomes an attribute, even if it's not equal to something, even if it's just like this. Okay, just cybergate like this, it's an attribute. Okay, this is an attribute. Okay, so this attribute, you can be custom made. You can also define your own attributes. Okay, you can define your own attributes. So, and you can also assign it to something depending on what you want to do. However, there's what we call array attributes. Okay, this arrow, okay, it is used to attach. Okay, we use it to identify the currently active element when the DOM focuses on a composure or widget or text box or group or whatever, or in the application. So we can have the array attribute of busy, array attribute of autocomplete, we have atomic, we have, like, there are a lot of them, right? So we use it to you want to add JavaScript to your work, so you can use this array attribute to attach JavaScript to your work, such that you can implement something that is dynamic or very, very unique in your particular work. That's what we use it for. So recall that I said that you can actually create your own attribute if you want to. So I can have array attribute of autocomplete here. Okay, that is what we can have here. You can set it to true or inline or whatever. You see, we have all this stuff. Okay, we have all this stuff. So we can do list, right? We can do something like this, and then we'll have all of this. So that is what we can do with attributes. So we have array rows and attributes. I've talked about dialogue and all that. So these ones are collapsible contents. Okay, they are collapsible content. That means they can collapse. Collapse means to hide and show. You understand? Why dialogue is a mother box. Okay, it is a pop-up or a dialogue box that pops up on your page. You click on a button, something pops up, but you can't do it now without JavaScript. That's what we're seeing, right? That's what we have there. All right, so let's look at the next module and we'll be right back. Yeah, so now we are in the advanced section of HTML. We are in the advanced sections of HTML. Here we consider 2D. That is we have canvas. Okay, we have canvas. We have SVG. SVG stands for simple vector graphics. We have mask for mathematical notations. We have object. We have embedded. We have iframe. Iframe is simply used to embed another site into your site. Let me just do that one. I might not do the other ones. Okay, they are quite simple. We just implement them. So we have iframe, for example, but it's not all the pages that can be iframed. So I can iframe something like YouTube, right? So I can say I think I can iframe YouTube. So let me pick my YouTube channel. Okay, let's just do this. I say youtube.com/cybergates. Forgetting the number, but then let me leave it this. Let's just say youtube.com and leave it like that. So what we have, the border is 0. So I'll just save, see what will happen. You can use it to embed another site in your work. You can define the width and the height and other things. Remember, this is just introduction to this, so you can do all of that. So but if you check very well, see that I have under here I have no internet. Oh, there's no internet connection. But if I have internet connection, I think I did have internet connection, maybe just disconnected. Okay, but you see that we're going to be able to get let me see if I can connect that. If I connect it, you see the page, the YouTube page or Facebook page or whatever page you are getting from some other website. You can actually embed it here and it's going to work. That's what you see, the page inside there, and it's clickable, it's live, you can work on it and stuff like that. So that is what we have there. Okay, furthermore, we have the mathematical notation. If you want to write math, math notation, just by using math. Okay, you can use math like that. Okay, you can use it to write your mathematical notation, and the other ones, okay, you can do all of that in this. Simple vector graphics is also the same thing. You open the tag SVG, but this you might need to copy this particular one from your browser. Okay, because you can't write it offhand, right? Because it's a lot of code. You just are using code to draw an image. So you can convert image to SVG. Okay, you can convert a real image to SVG, and then you copy the code that is generated from the image. Because every image can be we'll call it, I think we call it scriptography or something like that. I can't remember. So you can actually convert your images to code and then use the code to do very many things in programming, right? So that's what we can do with that. So moving forward, for the last one, we have progressive web applications. This is very simple. Okay, this is very simple. And web component, these are templates. Like if you want to start using Bootstrap, you can use templating engine to generate template. We have something like Vice. If you're using React, you can use Vice to generate a template that you can use in your work. We have slot for shadow content DOM, like you have dynamic content. They are not there, they can only be activated. Let's say you have a multi-step form. You need to finish filling a particular form before it can take you to the next page and the next page and the next page till you complete the form. We also have the portal, which is the experimental navigation, where you can have the dashboard of a particular what will I call it, enterprise standard application. Okay, you can have a portal or a dashboard or a admin page, that kind of a thing. So you can do this in HTML. Okay, so feel free to experiment some of these things and then understand how it is. Some of them are fairly new in HTML. Okay, but then of course you can implement them using some other ways, some other modules as it were, right? So that is that on that. I've already talked about IDs and classes and style tag and title and the hidden tab index. If you want, we'll deal with this in Bootstrap. You can have tab index. We have language. We have data attributes. So, but these ones are deprecated. These are the ones that have been removed. Deprecation means they have been removed from HTML. We have the font. We have the center. We have the mark hue. We have the frame set, right? For example, if you do center, you see that center will be marking red. So if I do center like this, see, it's always red in color, showing that it has been deprecated, but it still does work, right? If you try it, put some content inside here, this is centered. Okay, so if you check that, you see that it's actually working even though it has been deprecated. So that's what we are saying. Let's see. It might take a while because of the iframe. It's actually loading up. The iframe is actually loading up somewhere here. Okay, it's loading up. So okay, no, still no internet connection, but it does load up. So this is centered. See, this is actually working because it's centered. So the center is still working. It's just that it has been deprecated, just like the fonts and the MacU. MacU is also working. Let's try MacU. MacU is also working. It's still working. I think till tomorrow. MacU, can I spell MacU? So I'll have the behavior and direction. Direction can be left or right or stuff like that. So let me just say um, um, like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, so you can do this and save. If I go back to the work, you see that it's going to take a moment to load up, and then after that you're going to see the marquee will just be moving from the page. Yeah, look at it, like, share, and subscribe, to just be moving from one side of the page to the other side of the page. So but then of course you can also change the direction. You can just, these are the things you need to experiment. You can put right here, I think, or I can put left. I think it's left. It's coming from the right, so I can put left if I want to. So it's going to come from this other side instead of coming from this other side, right? That's what that is all about, right? Okay, it's still coming from left. Okay, sorry, I think it should be right. Okay, yeah, so it can be coming from this other way if you want it to be doing that. So that is what we have, but by default it's left. Leave it like that. We also have the behavior, smooth, and other things. Go ahead and experiment all of that. Now if you want to see the options available, you can hold on control key and press spacebar and go to see the options available. In this case there's no option available, right? So that's what we have in this one. So this is I've talked about the ID attributes. We're going to talk about more of them in CSS and how we can use them in our work. I've talked about the style attribute, which is used to implement the inline style CSS in our work. The title is already there. We've talked about it too. The hidden is also there to hide icons. You don't want people to see them, you can do that. The language is already there. You can specify the language, EN for English and other things, FR for French, and other languages are there. We have also the data for, which is more like the RL attributes. Okay, you put data, you put hyphen, then you can put any of the data you want to. It's also an attribute that you can use in HTML. This is the things we have in HTML. At this point, if you have stayed to this point, it means you have successfully mastered HTML, modern HTML in 2025, and there is no other tag that is existing that I have not tried to mention. Every other tag I did not mention means is either deprecated or is not that relevant in the modern web development industry. Okay, so these are the ones you need to master. You need to learn them and understand how they work. As we continue in the module, next we'll be talking about CSS, full course on CSS, everything you need to know in CSS, starting from selectors to what have you in CSS. At the end of the course, you'll be able to design dynamic web applications. So after this module, we're going to have a little classwork where we're going to build a very simple blog post on HTML. So see if you can create a simple blog where it has headers. Okay, it's just a little classwork that you can try on your own, but we'll be attaching the screenshots at the end of the video. Then try and see if you can figure it out, and then get back to us if you have any difficulty in achieving that. In the meantime, do have a lovely time, and I wish you all the best. Take care.